Hello.
No,
I couldn't resist that. I'm using the new microphone here. I'm using the new mic. You can't see that it's there.
I had to check that I wasn't on mute, which I'm normally on mute.
Yeah.
I'm normally on a Saturday night, but last night I was having a rest, and now today we are on a Sunday night. Shadow Whispers in the night. We have Jacqueline, and we got paranormal researchers. We have Christopher, we have Lynn, and we have me. Good evening.
Good evening.
How is everyone today?
Good.
Tired. See ya. I feel like somebody's
Tired
beat me
and
with a
sore.
big club.
What were you doing, Chris?
I was away walking to there's a place up for me, and it's a beautiful place. There used to be a big mansion, it's like a big castle, but they knocked it down in 1930. But they've left all the castle gardens and the lake, and I walked around the lake, and it's all the snowdrops are all coming up, and all the crocus and daffodils are coming up. It's beautiful, and it was beautiful. It's a big lake. I'm friends with the Lord that owns it. I was actually talking to him the other day about it, and how old it is, because it used to have the boats on it with the Victorians used to go out with the wee steamer with the ladies and but they don't do that anymore. It's just a reservoir now. It's not really used for anything, you know. But it's nice there. Actually, I'm going to get Alan, if Alan's watching this. I need to get Alan. Alan, you've got to be doing the rowing for me. Take me about. I'll have the umbrella. You know. Oh, God. I walked too far. That's what's wrong.
You what? Hey,
I walked too far. Hello, Willow. You know, coming on, Willow.
Willow is resting her voice. She's under strict order by doctor and by all of us to rest her voice. She come on, but sign language, Willow.
See, look at that. Look at that. There's Willow there. There's something wrong with my beard now. I just had a shower, right, and I've got this new soap. It's called, I think it's Bulgarian birch tar soap. It's really nice soap, right? But it's made awfully soft and fluffy. Right,
No.
Jenny's right, but Jenny's getting excited now because I only like, you know, Jenny's
On your beard.
But it seems to be going to one side. I need to get myself a special. What do you call it? I need to get a special net for it or something. It looks like a way to one side, as if I've been in a blizzard or something.
You know, the face mask, and put it there and put the elastic up around your ears, and the face mask when you're going to bed so it doesn't mangle in the middle of the night.
Well, I'm growing it long, so I've been twisting it, you see. So I'm growing it as long as possible. So I keep twisting it, see how I'm going like that. So I'm going to put braids in it all the way down. Yes.
Yeah, you could be like
a Viking. Aye, there you go.
Yeah, look, that's good, that.
There you go. There's old Willow. She's getting excited now. You better watch out. She'll start giggling next or something like that, and she's not allowed to speak.
That's because Willow's voice is gone for the last, 3 weeks? And I know we did a show on a Wednesday night. We did the show with David Oman, and Willow was fine at the start of it, but we knew coming near the end of it or the middle of it that her voice was going to go again, and it did. It did. So she has to rest her voice. Scottish Outlook.
Yes, he stays actually just close to me. He's not that far away from me. He's only a couple of miles down the road from me.
Just check, Chris, do me a favor. Will you check to see if this is live on my YouTube? Because I can't see it on my YouTube. I think I deleted it.
It should be there. I can see it up the top. It says it's on.
There's a question mark.
Well, there's no attack. There's no attack. You've not got attack.
Aye. So what can I do with that?
Give me a 10 shakes of a lamb's tail. Is the communications expert is on this right now?
It was Friday. Good Lord, it was Friday.
No, you're not going live. No, why are you not going live? So let's see here.
No,
I have big fingers now because I'm using an iPad, obviously. So here we go. Go live schedule. That's not come up in things, so I'll hit go live for you. On Emerald Isles. Go live.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
It looks like the stream was deleted on YouTube. Try and creating a new stream or just removing the destination from the stream and then re-adding it.
I think I did it double this evening, and I deleted one of them, and I must have deleted two of them.
Well, I'll give you a copy of this, and you can upload it on your channel if you want. But I was wanting all my subscribers to come across to you tonight to subscribe to you.
Grant, okay.
So, wait a minute, I'll hit go live. Come on, damn you, go live. It sometimes works this, and sometimes it doesn't. Go live again. Damn, you're like a cheap Russian car.
must have done that myself.
Everybody go at Emerald Dale's paranormal. He said,
Georgie.
My ears.
Let's open.
It's the hound in the Baskervilles. It's coming
Jacqueline,
from
what dog have you got, love?
That's my daughter's dog, Georgie, and she is adorable. But oh my God, she barks at every little fiddle faddle that passes the door. Come here, Georges.
I love you.
Everything: a car, a person, a fox.
Of course, you could end this and then go again. You could end this, then restart it and go again. But if you really wanted to go through your channel, because I was wanting everybody,
I'll share it on later.
Right. I'll download it and upload it into your channel later if you want.
Twist your beard.
Twist that around 3 times in the chair. I'll not go around about it. It's my studio. It's VZ. Everybody thinks I've got a huge studio, but no, it's me. You've got stacks of tarot cards all around about, man. I shouldn't have said the tarot card word now, because then everybody will want readings. They want to see into your future.
You could do tarot card reasons. The link is there for anyone in our group chats. If you want to join in for the crack, if you want to come in for 5-10 minutes, you're more than welcome to. Willow has the link. So if anybody wants to jump in to talk or say anything. So it's literally an open panel tonight. So we're going to talk about everything and anything. And the more, it can be literally anything.
What about like hairspray for beards? What's the best hairspray to keep a hair in form, you know?
What?
What's the best hairspray for beards, you know? I noticed it the day when I was out walking, it was a bit windy and it was blowing about, you know?
I don't think we're the gender that you should be asking.
Jenny just wants to diet. Because I know she's up to, she's going to get me and she's going to diet green.
Oh, Nando. Me and Nando will have answers today.
Is that okay? Chris, can I ask you the question?
Yes,
Did
only
you
go
try
fire.
that cream I sent you?
Yes, I did. I tried it for a good couple of months and didn't really. It kind of helped me with my hands joints.
Yeah.
But it didn't help me with my back because I've got like a trapped nerve in my spine. But it did help with my fingers. It did actually help a wee bit for my fingers. But it doesn't work on like spinal problems and stuff like that. For that, I just take. You know, I try and no take like the stuff that the doctors give me because it's like turns you into a zombie.
Yeah.
You know?
The face of me and Jacqueline when you Lynn said, Chris, did you try the cream I sent you? And I was like, is that no? She's very
Hey, I'll tell you something. There's some good stuff that's by the way.
We're on a different. We have a different mindset, Jenny.
It came well packaged. That's what I'm going to say. Well done for your packaging skills. It took me a full hour and a half to open it.
I'm sorry. I'm not on here to be talking about packages.
Oh. It was a very small jar, but I'll tell you, it lasts a long way.
Does it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even going to say something else. Jenny, there's Miss Chantel. I love you, Chantel. Lulu wants to come to the pub. All of us, Lulu. I'm telling you now, we'd have a lock-in. We would have a lock-in. Oh my God, and it would definitely be a blast. And there's not any bottles of whiskey you see on the behind the bar. We are trying everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Everybody's wanting me to do my usual Kiddo and Mrs. Doubtfire. See all my subscribers, they got excited when I Kiddo and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, holy shit.
The day, look, honestly, the day they think it's great. Watch this. I've even got pictures stored on my iPad. I'll see if I can do it just for you girls in the chat, right? So here we go. Oh, hello there, dear. Mrs. Doubtfire here. I'm 126, you know. 1993, I made my debut. I was 84 then. Oh, I'll tell you this, the news. We're having a real old time tonight. Oh, hi, the news. Here in the mad world.
Yeah, there's something. Well, what do you mean? Well, I've heard that every day.
Folk get excited over that kind of stuff, you know. I can't help it. I just do it for them, you know. What's that? Don't do it. Don't think with.
That's true.
That's
a true story.
That is a true story. Miss Beautiful Chantel is from South Africa, and she went over to UK to her granddad, and then herself and Dad Tim came over to me. Well, let me tell you, we thought they thought we ran out of wine, did we? They went one way in the shop, went another way, and here I am going 1, 2, and all you can hear on my bag is clinking of the bottles. And then Grandad Tim saying, "Oh no," because he was English. "Oh no, we've run out of wine." I said, "We don't run out of wine." I come in, and then we ended up putting a headband on his head with devil horns in it, taking pictures. I have them somewhere, but that was brilliant. And the next day, Chantal wasn't really talkative. We ate a lot of crap around us, but she wasn't really talkative at all. But yeah, that was. We should come over to Ireland, and we should definitely do some great pubs in Dublin. Great pubs in Dublin, and great pubs in Drogheda and Dublin. So I'll take it to them. Oh shit, that's so true as well. This is what Nando, because this is true. That is true, because Dirty Dancing was on one night. Myself, Sarah, and Nando were having a few drinks, and then I ended up on the table, and the legs. You could see the table going side to side, and I was about to do that, the end of the movie dance, and I did. But when I was literally on my hands and knees when the table started rocking, then I knew not to stand up on it. But yeah, that is a true story. I think you might have the video somewhere. Hi, Susan. How are you? Hope you're well. Yeah, that is a true story. So, yeah, when I get bored, God knows what I'll do. But anything now from locations. Let's talk a little bit location. Let's get boring. Anybody comes up with some gossip, you can say it here. I'll go nowhere, I promise.
I'm just sitting here. I'm happy. I've been taking my painkillers tonight, after my long walk. Jenny gets so excited when I put on that accent. I don't know what that is. Okay.
Yeah, that's true too. I know. That is true too. It was daylight.
Oh,
I look bloody tired. That was daylight. I think that was last year, wasn't it? I don't know. But it's true. Nando has the video somewhere. I think he has.
Nando, put the video up for us. Come on. We want to see it.
He's fucking well,
I dare you, Nando, to post it on Facebook. Everywhere.
Not on Facebook. I mean, if he sends it on here, I'll put it up. But because I have no shame. Are you going to do a card reading?
Does anybody want a card reading? Does anybody want their future told? I've not done any readings for a couple of days, so I'm quite fresh. So, well, not that fresh because I've taken a couple of painkillers, but I'm still in connection with the spirit world. Unless I get your Uncle McDougal or something like that comes through and wants to tell you where he's buried all his money.
I need a quick one. The last location myself and Jacqueline went to was in Cork, County Cork, the convent. Absolutely brilliant, fantastic location. Sorry if I had code. Absolutely brilliant location. Still going through the audio, Jacqueline. Haven't done it all just yet. I am listening to it, but it's not the same. I have to put one recorder with the other recorder. I kind of effected up a wee bit. I need to change the files of it. All exciting stuff. And then, is it 2 weeks' time?
About that, yeah.
2 weeks, we're back down at Lep Castle. Yeah, we're back down at Lep Castle. So that would be great. The night before, I'm going out to a show. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of Tommy Tiernan. He's an Irish comedian.
Yeah, comedian.
He used to have a dark sense of humor, but anything he says is truth. And it's dark-ish, but I'm going to see him the night before, so there will be a few gin and tonics consumed. Just to let you know now, Jacqueline. In case I just say, if you don't know where I am, I'm probably up in the bloody chapel in the corner, like an old Irish hag sleeping.
So now we just step over you.
Yeah, just put a K2 beside me, and we'll wake me up.
You'll be fine.
I must admit, those pictures, I've already had a wee look at some of the pictures that Jenny's put on for the night to show us your last place you investigated. It was quite an interesting place.
Well, these pictures belong to Cork Supernatural Society. These pictures belong to them when I had them on the show, and I hope they don't mind if I put them up and show you. This would be in the chapel, the church, in the convent. And up there on the left-hand side, there was, obviously you can see nothing, but they had the thermal image camera and they were taking random pictures and so on and so on, and then this is what showed up.
Oh, you can see it.
You can see it in the photograph.
I thought that, yeah.
Look here. You can see it in the photograph. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. No.
Yes, you can.
That's the first time I've seen that photograph now, but you can definitely see it on the left-hand side of the photograph.
Yeah, you bloody can. Let me go into this.
What am I looking at here?
I'll show you now, Chris. I'll show you now.
Where has that been taken? The corner? Is it the corner? What?
That's a church in the convent.
Yeah, top left corner.
Oh,
I
see
can
what you're
see
looking at there.
I haven't seen these photographs before because I haven't looked at them, but I can see that in the photograph.
There it is there.
Wow.
That makes less sense to me, the thermal image, but in the regular photograph I can see the shadow, and it overlaps the corbellus, that, you know, the little white part, the corbellus that holds up the rafter. It overlaps.
Yeah, I can see it. Yep, you're right. And then this is in the laundry room.
At the opposite side. Yeah, I can see that as well, yeah.
The laundry room. So this is facing, so see on the left-hand side there are the sinks.
Aye.
And then you have those, there's two large stone bats. They look like a bath there, but then this is what was gotten. If you can see at the bottom, you can see legs.
Oh, you can see its legs.
Yeah.
I think those at the back, they're vitreous tiles that are on them. That's why they're shining. I think those were, they didn't know what they were, but they looked like to me like they were drying rooms because that was the laundry. So yeah, I think that's what those are at the back. They're two rooms that were insulated with the tiles, but I can see that quite clearly.
So
that looks like a male, like the size of a male.
Yeah, I was a male as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Great picture. We were standing in there, and hopefully we'll get down again this year if we're doing another public night. We'll definitely. But it is a very interesting place.
Quite a dark history. Well, that it's the Sisters of Mercy have a horrendous history in Ireland.
Right.
Terrible history. With industrial schools, laundries, Magdalene laundries, mother and baby homes.
Yeah.
That particular convent on Spy Hill, that actually was given to the government as part of the redress scheme to compensate the victims of the orphanage and the school that was there.
Yeah.
So they have a terrible history, and very specific order that had the genius plan of, like, normal vows were taken by all the religious orders, but Sisters of Mercy had the perfect plan. So they also took an additional vow, which was obedience, and they had to obey their mother superior as they would their own mother. So even if some of the nuns wanted to come forward to whistleblow on the abuse that was going on there, they would have been deemed as unsuitable for religious life. So they had the perfect plan. They had to obey the Mother Superior, and the bishops loved the Sisters of Mercy because they would take their direction from the bishop. So there would be the bishop, then there would be the Mother Superior, and then her minions underneath her. She usually had 4 captains that she chose from her congregation, but. So that meant nobody could question anything that was going on there. You had to obey. You were not allowed questions. So whether you were a novice or a nun, if you saw anything, and their biggest thing was that they're like, I've looked into these are all reports that were done into the abuse, and reports that were done because there was terrible reports in the 1930s, and there was an inquiry. Even as early as the 1930s, and they were not stopped after that. But the order there was nobody to stop them. They just went roughshod over anybody that inquired about anything. And all the information that we had and all the research that we did came from either the Sisters of Mercy's own reports or from independent reviews. So they're all available. All the legal documents are available. That it's not anything that I make. It's certified. It's well known.
What was the movie? What was the movie that was made? Because I remember seeing it and it was quite
it is. Yeah,
intense.
The Magdalene Laundry.
Aye, because one of the ladies actually fled to Scotland, I'm sure.
yeah.
There was a documentary about it. There was a documentary about it where they actually met her and talked to her afterwards. Obviously, she's older. I don't know if she's still alive right now.
They had the perfect plan because they had their whole mission was to help the poor, but the number of girls outnumbered the number of boys by 3-1 in the homes. And what they were in effect doing was they had this guy called the cruelty man, and he would go out and he would take these children and he would go in front of the courts, and the parental rights would have been completely severed. And mostly it was women, like because they were poor or they didn't go to mass or they drank, or it was mostly when, and what they thought they were doing was they were preventing these children ending up like their mothers. And they had no choice. Everything was done in silence when they were these children. And the reason that they were so brutal was, and this comes actually from the Sisters of Mercy own admissions and testimony, is that they the rules were that no child could be unequally chosen. So they had to, every child had to be equal. So that meant that because every child had to be equal, no child was shown any affection whatsoever. If you showed any child affection, it meant that they weren't being treated equally. So these children, some of them as like babies, 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, up to 16, and you couldn't be taken out. You had to be like you were not allowed leave because the parental rights were severed. So you were there until you were 16. And some of the girls were kept after that until they were into their later years because they would have had to help with the children. And even if you hit 16 and you thought you were going to get a reprieve from this, unless you had somebody to claim you out or unless you had somewhere to go, you were not getting out.
That's terrible.
That's terrible.
So they have an horrendous history in Ireland. And that place, like I think especially for any Irish person going in there, and especially any Irish woman going in there, and especially an Irish mother going in there, which I am, and Jenny also is, you feel that in yourself, you feel, oh my God, I really resent this,
See the younger
I've got
nuns.
that film, I have that film. The Magdalene
The younger nuns.
Sisters.
Is any of them still alive?
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris?
I was just going to say, is any of the younger... Oh, sorry.
Sorry, lovely. Had a really big effect on me, that film did. Really touched me.
Yeah. But it's important those films are shown because not everybody's going to research, not everybody's going to read, like I do, pages and pages of reports and testimony, but you can see a film for an hour and a half or 2 hours and a visual impact. Like, it's very important that those films are shown because it actually makes people instantaneously understand, of any generation, how horrendous it actually was. And those stories are not made up. I mean, when we were there, Jenny, you know that when we were doing you were sitting down with the blindfold.
Yes.
And asking questions. And because I did a lot of research and I came across testimonies from some of the girls who had been held there, or when I say held, had lived there, basically. They weren't, but one of them was about the abuse. And Jenny, we got very aggressive at one stage, but just before the aggressive comments that she was saying, it came across fresh sheets. And instantaneously, it just hit me. Like, normally, if you're on an investigation, fresh sheets would mean nothing to you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But because I had done a research, there are reports from the former pupils and former residents of it that if they had wet the bed, they were made to wear the sheet around their head.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and true, that it happened. There's reports that's legally those reports there. But the minute she said fresh sheets, I went, oh my God, is that? And I straight away I asked, is that because you were made to? And then the next comments Jenny came out with were, now she's sitting in the corner blindfolded with the thing and her headphones on. And the next comment she made was, get out of here.
Yes, and of course you can't hear the questions that are being asked. So I'm just saying what I'm hearing. And then when we were doing the scrying in that room, and I was in front of the mirror, and we have the video of it. It was the most, because I haven't done it in about 10 years. And then it just frightened me too much. And then I just said, feck it. I'm in my playground, which is a convent. And I always kind of go in, especially now, convents would be something I would love to go into, not because of the priests and nuns, but because I cannot stand them. And I don't hide the fact that I cannot stand them. And when we were doing the scrying, we did it twice. The first time round was an oh my God moment. It was, I said, I think I said, oh my God, at one point. And then Jacqueline said, oh, Jenny.
Because I could see a change in your face in the mirror, not in your actual face, but in the mirror.
Me too. And I remember I was saying to you guys, I said, I look like I'm frowning. And I was I was still me, but I said, I look like I'm frowning. And I said, I can't frown. I feckin' Botox. I shouldn't be able to frown. I'm going back to, I do. And I said, I'm going back to my doctor and say, why am I frowning? Can I frown?
Here's a question for you. Here's a question, right? Wait, 2 questions here I've got. One, when was the last one of those places shut? When did the last place shut for that kind of thing?
Oh, I'd say, when I went to school, I went to primary school in the late 70s. And I remember that there was a girl in our school. Now, she wasn't a good Sisters of Mercy. It was a Good Shepherd convent. And I remember she used to come in from the convent. She was the only person there, but she used to come into our primary school as a day pupil. But she actually lived in the convent. And I remember, now I had no idea what went on in the convents, but I do know that this would be the late 70s, 79, 8, that's 78, 79. And the threat and the known threat in my generation would have been, behave yourself. If you don't, you're going to get put into the convent, into the good. I'll bring you down to the Good Shepherds.
The second question is any of these nuns still alive? And is any of them ever came forward to say, listen, I'm really sorry, I did that type of thing?
Only the head of the convent, she's the only one that answered. That you cannot, their vows are sacrosanct. You must obey. You must obey. The actual vow is you must obey the Mother Superior as you would your own mother, and without question follow all her ideas and objectives. It's written down. You can look it up. That's their own Sisters of Mercy. But Sisters of Mercy are also responsible for the babies that are in in Galway that are still in the septic tanks, 70 and 95. We're hoping that they're going to DNA test them and the remains can be handed back to family members.
What did you just say there? I didn't care about that.
They were in the septic tank in the Convent of Mercy in Tuam. You can look all this up. It's all online.
They're still in there.
Yeah. And the lady that actually discovered them was completely discredited for years. And she put up with some abuse, I'll tell you, from the church and from neighbours and from everybody else. But she kept going, kept making her voice heard until there was a huge inquiry into it.
There is a movie.
They cancelled her out then.
Yeah. Well, they did a movie on. I won't watch any Irish movies. It was only up to last year that I've ever watched Michael Collins and the Wind That Shakes the Barley. Last year was the first time I've ever watched those movies. Jesus, it wasn't good. It was not good. So when I watched the Magdalene Laundry, I remember being in a beautiful graveyard up in Dublin called Glasnevin. It is anyone. It's absolutely. I got lost leaving it. Michael Collins is buried there. Eamon de Valera and his wife is buried there. Countess McAfee is buried there. These are all beautiful, fantastic people of Irish history. And I came across a headstone, and there was no name in it, and it just said Magdalene Laundry, and it broke my heart to see that. It was. Shit, it was real. Then it was real. I knew it was real, but to see it unnamed, unmarked, just Magdalene Laundry, unnamed. And she was there. And I cannot find that headstone anymore. I can't remember. It was a I had my 2 daughters with me. I had a dog with me. It was extreme. The kids would drive me crazy, so I didn't mark it in my mind. I have somewhere idea of where it is, but that kind of made it very real then when I saw that. It was crazy. I mean, I know one of the guys who work up there. I can easily go up and ask him, show me where this is. He'll know it. Like, he works there. He's a fantastic tour guide up there in Glasnevin. But it's a place I would bring anyone who wants to go to Glasnevin and see it.
I'm just trying to look up something really quickly. If you wonder what I'm doing, there was a place near me, and that was the same thing that happened. I'm just a second.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out where it was. I'll just mute my mic for a sec.
Yeah.
But it's ongoing. It's ongoing. I mean, all the children that were taken by the orders in Ireland and their babies were sold.
Yes. Yeah.
Their records are still sealed. They cannot get. They're trying to trace their biological parents, and they cannot get access to that information. All they're getting is the runaround.
There is a movie out. Sorry, Lynn. There is a movie out, and Alan. Oh God, his name is not Alan Partridge.
Yeah, Alan. Yeah, the guy that does Alan Partridge and Judi Dench. Yeah, Philomena.
That's the one. Oh my goodness, was that a movie and a half? That was a movie and a half. That was like basically the same. She was unmarried. She had a baby, and they took the baby off her. Did you see the time where she was looking out the window and the baby was brought out to the car with these new parents, and she had to watch the child leave, and she came back and the child was gone. And I won't tell you what it's about. I won't tell you know what it's about, but I won't tell you what
it's watching. Yeah, it is.
That
happened for sale. There was hundreds of babies. Oh, somebody's just
the one.
Similin Orphanage in Lanark.
That's it. Thank you.
I
was trying to find it there. Yeah.
Not me. That was Scottish Outlook. I take no kudos for that.
Yeah.
1981.
Similar times to Ireland. It would have been like the 1980s, I'd say.
Yeah. I watched it. Yeah, that was just it made me angry, Noreen. It made me angry. I was very pissed.
The point is, you're bringing, like, especially if you're a mother, which I am and Jen is, and we had my daughter, who's the other team member. Now she's 26, so she's not a baby, and she is aware of all this. But when you go to a place, it's very hard not to bring that emotion with you.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I know they say, you color the investment. I'm sorry, you just can't leave that aside. You just, like, that is not an emotion or an attitude or a feeling towards a religious order that you can just disregard because you're going into a building, I
remember when I was in the Scriven the first time around, and
that was very angry.
I was beginning to.
Yeah, that was very angry.
Because it was a nun that I was dealing with, and I just, I would air punch her. I could find out where she was. I'd air punch her. I fucking hate them. And people are probably saying, no, you shouldn't hate none. I hate the fucking nuns.
Well, I went to a convent. I went to an actual convent school, and the majority of the nuns were great. I have to say, I can't say anything against them. They did great things. I mean, in the 70s, you wouldn't remember, but there was huge power cuts. I'm sure the UK had them as well, because there was a power shortage or whatever. And people, they would have announced, like, oh, if you didn't have your breakfast, come in. Now, it was for people we had a gas cook, so I never got the breakfast because we had breakfast at home. But and they did. I mean, I do remember that there was some children in the classes. One girl in particular. And their family, it was obviously financially, because there was a lot of unemployment in Ireland in the late 70s and early 80s. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of the nuns actually sent up to the convent and gave her a uniform because her uniform was intact. It was obviously handed down or whatever. So there were good people, there were great, but there were particular. And I think the problem with the Sisters of Mercy was the way they set up their congregation. There was you were not allowed to whistleblow. Like, there's no, if you brought it down, you were deemed unsuitable for religious life. And if you had a true vocation, that must have felt like the worst thing that could happen you.
Check that for me, please. That place that Scottish Outlook is talking about is only 12 miles from me and him.
Yeah,
and that's the place that thanks for doing that, Scottish Outlooker.
Do you know? Do you or the Scottish Outlooker know what the order was? Like, do we know what?
It's
order?
in the Sunday Herald. I would need to look it up, and I could send you the link and stuff
I'm
like that.
I'm just curious what order it was.
The graves, that's what I was going to say. The graves were discovered. Now, was it newborns? I think there was meant to be newborns, and amongst it too, there was something
in Tuam, in Galway. It was babies.
I think it's kids.
Now, there a lot. They do think that now. Obviously, the child mortality rate has been higher, but they do believe that a lot of them were just, if they had any defects, or if there was any problem, or if they were early born or anything like that, they were literally left in a cot in a room to die. So a lot of them could have possibly have starved to death. We don't know, but they're still in tune there.
I guess there is good nuns. I get that, but the bad ones outweigh the good ones, and I'll always stand clear on that. I know my teacher was a nun. My boss before that I worked in the automotive was a nun. What a see you next Tuesday. Hold on, Chris. What a see you next Tuesday, the nun that I had worked for, and actually see you next Tuesday.
I think the problem was they're an institution, but they were backed because they could have not done that without the help of the Irish government. Not possible.
I never knew this.
State and church.
Hold on. There are some nice nuns, nice ones. It's the ones that would have done that. It's the ones that allowed in the young women in the movies, the Magdalene Laundry, that allowed. Woke up these women from their sleep and brought them down to the proof room. What was knowing what was going to happen. They're the ones. And I know people say you can't tar everyone with the same brush, but I am me, and I'm going to when it comes to priests and nuns. There was even one I read it today up in the north. There was a priest. He stepped down from his role because he was having an affair with a married woman. I trust none of them. I trust none of them. Pardon the pun, none of them. But I know there's some lovely ones, but if they come up to me, and the Sister Bosco was lovely. She's a lovely nun, but she's one out of her many. And I know people say, you can't say that. I'll say it again for those who didn't hear me. I fucking hate all of them.
Right.
But some orders were worse than others. Sorry, Christian.
This is the Lanark Conference that's 12 miles from me in Scottish Outlooker. Now, I didn't ken this, and I've just sent this to you, Jenny. Go and check it out. It's from BBC News. It's the second one for the BBC News, right? I'm not going to read it all out because it's quite bad, really bad. A woman who lived in Lanark Orphanage, the Age has told that she was given electric shock treatment by the nuns, right? But that's not the worst bit. There was one where a nun had died, and the children were forced to kiss the nun all over her body, even though it was lying there for a couple of weeks.
Sick. Religion is sick. All religion is sick. And I know people are going to, and I know now I can hear Nando saying, Jenny, don't talk about religion, because every time I talk about religion, something happens in my house. So,
these girls, sorry, everybody, but if these girls or these young women, when they eventually left there, if they
post that in the chat for people to read.
Right, what would you think about the effect that's had on them mentally, emotionally? Right. Will they ever be able to have a proper relationship? They'll have this thing hanging. You imagine the full hit off that. Yeah. They will not be able to have normal relationships with anybody because it will keep coming back and haunting them and their children. Yeah. You know, if they've gone too far with it, they'll start bringing that into their own children as well.
Right. Some of them have, and the redress was set up and they were compensated financially. Mm-hmm. But in order to get that, there was a member of the religious community at where they had to testify. So, I mean, imagine having to go in and go through the whole of your trauma and sit in front of a table of maybe 5-6 people. One of them would have been from the community that you were complaining about, government minister, whatever, and probably psychiatrists or psychologists. And for years, these people were not believed. Right. They were not believed.
Remember,
it was wholesale. It's not just girls though, because I remember we were doing one of the last nights I was in Loftus Hall in Wexford, and the guy that owned it, we were just going through, you know, what it was all made up and what wasn't made up and blah blah, because loads of ghost hunting teams have investigated there and all that. So we were just getting the tea, shall we say? We were getting the gossip, but I wasn't aware. But on that night, he was telling me that there was a notorious priest in Ireland who was notorious for abusing children, boys. And he actually had that was a hotel in the 80s, and he had taken them to this room on the top floor. And that's where the abuse occurred. Now, it was a weird place. And I thought that top floor was really weird. And I was not aware of that until the last night, what the story was behind it. So it did happen it wasn't just one institution. Some institutions were worse than others. But I remember going to school. I was in the convent school here, the girls' school. And the boys' school was behind it. And we weren't allowed to talk to the boys. But you'd hear stories, but a lot of the boys, like there was a particular brother in there, and that was Christian brothers, everybody knew that he don't get caught in a room on your own with him.
Yeah,
it was blatantly said, and parents took no notice. Guards, so this abuse was just ignored. And it was accepted. Also, you learned to mind.
It wasn't just Ireland and Scotland. Have you ever seen the movie? Have you ever seen the movie where all the kids were shipped off to Australia?
Yes, horrendous.
And they were actually used as slave labour to build churches.
Yeah. Irish people were sent as indentured servants to Jamaica.
Yes, they were the servants.
Yeah. To this day, there's part of Jamaica that the residents speak with an Irish accent, but they do, yeah. But America had, if you watch the movie Spotlight,
they
had and it is true, those priests were taken out of places and they were transferred to other communities, and nothing was said, and they reoffended and reoffended and reoffended.
And they say nothing, and the communities are not told about it, and they trust them. I watched a video only, I think it was yesterday or the day before, a very recent one. I kind of took it out of my mind. I completely forget what. I think I can't even say what country because I'd probably get it wrong. I'm going to say Italy or Spain or somewhere like that. There was mass going on, and then you have the priest and you have two older boys, and you will hear from a distance, but an echo as if it was in the church, like downstairs or in a different room. You would hear a boy screaming, saying something that I didn't understand what he was saying, but a young boy was screaming, and one of the older boys looked very worried. Now, the priest completely ignored it, and the comments were just all going for the priest. But this cry from this boy was like a scared Toby, stop it.
The cat.
Toby. This you could hear in his voice. It wasn't like he was being bold or being messing about. It was a scream or a cry that something wrong was happening. Mm-hmm. Something wrong was happening.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, after the advent of the Free State in Ireland, the church had free range. So, and I mean, you know what they say, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it is true. It is true. It's not the actual religion is the problem. It's the institution. And that happens, abuse happens in every large institution. Yeah. And it's not the religion. It could be Church of Ireland, Church of England. It could be any religion. Yeah. But it's the fact that they have so much power. And yes. I can tell you from my grandmother's personal experience, my uncle, when he was very young, he fell off a high table onto stone. In those days, in the older houses, they had stone flag. You would be familiar with Chris, stone flag floors, because Scotland would have plenty of houses like that.
My house has got stone floors in it.
Yeah, they're flags. They're all this underneath them is earth, and the flags are laid down on top of them. Yeah. So they would be very hard. And he got in those days there was pressure on his brain, so there was no brain surgery like that. Yeah. And so he really had the mentality, I suppose, of a child, an innocent. And there was a particular place in Cork, because my family are from Cork, and they it was called Lotebeg House, and it was run by the religious institutions as well. And they would take all children in those days. This would have been, I'd say, the 50s, would have had to go to an institution. And my grandmother stood up against them. Now, it wasn't the first time she stood up against them, but she stood up against them. And they sent a car out to the house with a priest and nuns. And she refused to send him into. He went for a couple of weeks, and he hated. And she went and took him out, and they came up looking to take him back. And she said, "No, he's not going. He's not going." And they threatened her with, she was a God fear. Like you're talking about somebody who went to mass probably every day or whatever, did her prayers. And I mean, those days you would have said the rosary at 6 o'clock in houses and gone to mass every day. It would be very religious, and they threatened her with excommunication.
Yeah,
because she wouldn't let him go back.
I'm going to say
there's bodies found. There's loads of bodies found of the residents in Lotebeg House since.
I'm going to say this. I'm not feared to say this. I can't be folk out that do this kind of stuff, you know that. I'll be feared to say it. Nah, I will say that the Catholic Church did cover up a lot. Huge. I mean, good God, the Pope in particular.
The most powerful, or one of the most powerful organisation. Have you ever been to the Vatican Museum? No. I've been to the Vatican Museum, and to see the stolen art treasures that were there, and these are only the ones that are on display. There are vaults underneath that place that has, they have
the Vatican archives,
stolen art ever in the world. It is the richest. The Sisters of Mercy in this country caused all that misery, right? Mm-hmm. They were making money from this. There were laundries. They were getting paid for this. They were using child and women slave labour in Ireland. Yep. Do you know that in Ireland currently, the Sisters of Mercy own all the private hospitals, the Bon Secours, all those private hospitals? They are still, they are owned by the Sisters of Mercy. They are hugely, insanely rich.
They are.
I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but maybe Willow, in the chat, she'll ken about this because she's into art history and stuff like that. But the Catholic Church actually helped Nazi war criminals escape.
Of course they did.
Yeah, they actually. These are SS. This is SS. This is people that tortured.
Yeah, there were some priests, and I am sure, without a doubt, with no basis in fact, maybe, but a few articles, that I am sure that a lot of the stolen art that the Nazis stole, I am sure that it's stored in the Vatican vault.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have no doubt about that. But some priests did put their lives on the line, and there was a lot of children came to Ireland that were saved by an Irish priest. But I mean, Ireland hasn't a great, we were neutral. Mm-hmm. And we were against the anything English, so we didn't take a stance in the war. So, there was a grave danger there that we could, England could have been attacked through Ireland because we would have been more sympathetic. Because your enemy,
I know how. Yeah,
enemy. Do you know what I mean?
Shouldn't have been there in the first place. But that's my opinion.
In Ireland, there is some of them. Look. I'm just going to say it, Folans, who were the biggest publishers of all school textbooks. Mm-hmm. There is they came from Germany after the war. So make your mind up about that, whether we took Nazi criminals or not. I'll leave that up to your own imagination.
Well, they took them all over to America, didn't they, and put them in the space and NASA and that. Yeah.
Von Braun was the one that got the people to the moon, but I don't think we actually went to the moon. But Von Braun was one of the scientists.
I had an argument with my daughter about that moon. Stop with the conspiracy theory.
What was that movie called? Sorry, I probably was spaced out there for a second. What was that movie called? And you probably just said it, and I'm listening, and I heard this and I heard that, and now I'm probably asking the same, because I've heard called. So
when you get to a certain age, you have to ask for a repeat of the questions.
Oh God!
I didn't mute myself.
I'm only brave enough.
The movie that I watched last year in the cinema. Oh my God! And I was wondering why no one else was crying. Why is nobody crying? Is where, and you probably talked about it. I know I'm saying it again. I don't know his name, but I remember he was on a British show called That's Life. And Esther Ranson had him in the audience.
I remember that show.
Right, me too. Yeah, and what was his name? Oh my God! And he saved all the
hundreds.
Jewish people from the Nazis, and it was coming to the last train, and he was getting all the children out. Oh, and they were being and it was about to take off, and the Nazis came in and took over, and it blew my mind. I forget the name of the movie. If anybody knows what it is, I forget.
I'm trying to. There's actually a true story out there, and there's actually a movie out there where it is a priest.
Nicholas Winston.
There's actually one out there, and it was in
the guy's name is Sir Nicholas Winston.
1943 to 1944, when we were fighting the Japanese. There was actually a priest that saved a lot of children. I can't remember the name of the movie, and he actually guided them. And it was like white children, English-speaking children, but it was also like natives' children, and they were Chinese, and the Japanese were going to kill them because that's what the Japanese did. They killed the Chinese, and he actually got them out. There was over 100 of them. He actually managed to get them out. He got this old truck, and there's actually been multiple. Films made about this. There's a true story and how he drove them across the mountains and actually got them to safety. So there is good people out there. There is
in life and everything. But the problem with the Sisters of Mercy is that you had to obey without question. It's a plan. That to me is a genius plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and like. It's just, if you read, there is a report from the 1930s about when they did the inspection that the children were malnourished. The girls had bruises all over their bodies, and just horrendous reports. But it's very hard when you go to an investigation in some place like that to not bring that kind of
emotion with
you. You know,
I can't believe that there's still bodies of kids in septic tanks, and they've not taken them out and give them a proper burial.
Look it up. I'm not lying.
I will tonight.
But I do know that the Christian Brothers, like, it's abuse all over the place. But I do know there was a chap in Limerick City, and for years he went on about that he'd been abused by the Christian Brothers, which would have been the school behind my school, and it was the boys' school. And he went on for years and years and years. And you know what? He was treated like he was crazy. Literally, people avoided him on the street. People made fun of him. Like, absolutely. And then all this story broke. But he actually, nobody believed him. And that was the worst part. Nobody believed him. Right. And the chap committed suicide. And then a few years later, all this came out. Like the investigations come out and all that. So it has literally ruined people's lives. It has literally taken their lives. It has caused immense misery. I mean, it's a legacy that and I mean, I have been to the Bon Secours. Anyone with private health insurance, which you have to have in Ireland, really, if you want to get any medical procedures done, has been to a Bon Secours. I have been to a Bon Secours. And they have taken all my money. Like, any procedure is 5,000, 6,000, 10,000. Your health insurance pays for it, but you're paying for your health insurance. We don't have the National Health Service here that pays for everything. You know, we do have the HSE, and you can go public, but it's a huge, long waiting list. So the majority, anyone who has the wherewithal, will have private health insurance. And they have taken my money, and I resent every cent that I have given them. But but they are, like, look them up. That National Children's Hospital that's been built in Dublin at the moment, that's costing billions. It's the most expensive hospital, I'd say, is ever going to be built in the world. It's years overdue, and it's in the wrong place, and it's a big scandal. It's going to be a big scandal. There was huge protests because they own the land that the hospital's been built on, so they're still involved some way. But everybody in Ireland stood up and say, we do not want their name. We do not want them involved in the daily running. At one stage, the Irish government was going to allow them the daily running of this hospital. So It's still there. It's still there.
Are you saying that they're going to allow the nuns?
It was going to be a sisters. Yeah, the sisters. Well, they're obviously not the actual nuns. There's not going to be nuns in there. But that's what they do now. They're private medical care. They're the best, one of the best in the world at it. But all that must have been built off of the backs of those girls and children and the labour that they were forced to do. Where did they arrived? They were a Belgian order. They arrived into Cork in 1870 or something, and they have a vow of poverty, like every other religious order, poverty, chastity, all the normal. They just had an extra fourth vow about the obeying. And they arrived in as an order and eventually had to build their places piecemeal by piecemeal. That church that the photograph is taken in, that was a later addition in the convent, because obviously when the convent was being built, they couldn't afford that kind of like a lot. It's a lot of wood, it's a lot of stone, it's they want their churches to be beautiful. So that was a later addition to the convent, because they probably wouldn't have had the funds to build it because that was originally a manor house. So they took it over and moved in and then built on bits and built on the schools and built on the laundries and all that kind of stuff. But all that money that they amassed from all that abuse would have given them the basis. They just moved out of the exploitation of children and women into the exploitation of people, sick people, you know what I mean? And they have they run great hospitals. I can't say that. They're probably very good employers and all that kind of thing. But that money.
Modern times.
God forbid if any of my daughters had to go there, I would be chained to them, and there wouldn't be a chance I would leave them there. And that's not putting everyone in the same boat. It's just my.
I mean, that abuse doesn't. I mean, I'm sure it's not. I mean, they're not physically running the place, but their order has the money. They still have the money.
I know that. It's the rules that they will give these people and say, oh, I'm under these orders, I'm under these rules. And I'm like, the fuck you are when it comes to my child. No. And I know people always know. And that's why I don't talk much about religion, because I get like this.
So what? This is what the show's all about. It's all about talking about and see, the more people that talks about things like this, the more people understand these things. It's the people that stay quiet and say, oh, I'm not going to say anything against religion. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do that. That's the people.
It's a taboo subject, and people are afraid to talk about it, or probably just don't want to talk about it. And I'm a complete and open book when it comes to things like that. No, and people knows now. I mean, am I God-fearing?
No, I don't think God is. I think they've changed God from the fear aspect to the all-loving aspect.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, look, all you have to do is look at all this industry that's grown up around angels. Yeah. When I went to school, angels were not the angels that are there now. I mean, the angels were not nice. They were there. They were enforcers. They were like angels are very different beings now.
Yeah.
It's changed. It's a changed world, you know. I mean, they were vicious, and you were made aware of that. That if you stepped out of line, that archangel.
Everybody thinks that angels are angelic and they can do with their white wings. But if you look at the old text, if you go back enough, if you go far enough, let's say to the 15th or the 16th century, and you keep going further back and further back, they've all got big swords and shields and they're soldiers, and they were there to fight the demons. If you read through the text and stuff, that's what they're actually like.
Well, I grew up with the fear religion, because I went to a convent school. So we were told that we weren't making our communion if we didn't learn all the deadly sins, the beatifications, all this theology, and the priest, and hand to heart, the priest came in and examined it, and you had to have it word perfect. I was 7 years of age.
That's bad. I
remember
the way religion was. It's just the way religion was. The church has changed apparently now, but I don't think I'm not believing in that, because it hasn't really changed.
No,
it's still misogynistic.
I remember when
put a spin on it to make it look a bit better for them.
Yeah, it's all loving now. We're all great in Jesus. But at the end of the day, the Catholic religion is misogynistic. My kids went to a Salesian order primary school, very prestigious school. And there was one nun there, Sister Paul, Lord rest her. I'd say she's well dead now. She was about 90 when I knew her. And
she's probably still alive. She's probably
Sister Paul, myself and Sister Paul, I used to give her, she used to walk down from Milford Hospice, which is the hospice for cancer patients, and she used to walk down from that every morning down to the school, which was a bit of a jaunt, and she was about 90, so I used to have to go there early, and I'd often see her on the road, and I'd give her a lift down. It was only a little bit down, but it made a difference to her. So we were chatting one morning, and she said to me, she said, I worked in the Vatican for years. I said, did you?
Wow.
Years. Did you, Sister Paul? I did, she said. And I said, God, I said, God, that's a big come down to be working here in the school. Oh, no, she said. The Vatican was the most corrupt place I have ever been in my life.
Yeah.
And she said, and the Catholic Church hates women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She told me. She's not all her life. And if anybody knows,
Maths. I haven't heard that word in ages. Maths. 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 You're going to maths. I haven't heard that in ages. I remember my youngest daughter, she was making her was a confirmation. She was making a confirmation. She was obviously in primary school, making a confirmation.
Getting the Holy Spirit.
And I was like, oh my God, you know when you have to go to the church in the evening time because the priest is talking and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, for fuck's sake. I've never heard on a show as much as I have when we talk about religion. So apologies. But we were sitting there and I almost had the earphones on at my phone, listening to EastEnders. But you know what got me? My daughter's 14, so it wasn't so long since she made her. She's in second year in secondary school now. But what the priest said, well, we fucking mouths dropped open. And in my mind, if my daughter wasn't there, there would have been a show. There would have been a show. Because he talked about single mothers. And I was a single mother. And I'm like,
yeah, they didn't like the single mothers Catholic Church.
Come again, Father. Come again, Father. What the fuck did you fuck me?
Don't say that to any priest.
Oh, I know. Shut up, you. Shut up, you.
Don't use that terminology with any priest. You might get more than you bargained for.
But go touche, Jackie. Touche. And I don't know what he said, but he said something about, and I know it's hard to get out and you're a single mother and listen here, you. Hold on.
Here we go. Remember, mute the mic. Wait, no, I'll do the dubbing just in case it doesn't work. Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, dear.
Anyway.
You feel better, Jenny?
I said all of that. Oh, jeez, I feel better now. So I said, this is there for investigations. Anyhow, I was like, you're mentioning single mothers, you.
Beep, 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 beep. Just putting the dub in and just getting to the work on Facebook.
Yes, the last time I did that, I pressed the microphone up here and I was kind of like bleep, bleep, bleep. And Chris was sitting there not saying anything. And people in the comments saying, Jenny, we can hear you.
I was in shock. I was like frozen in fear.
The microphone mute didn't work, so I now have to make sure I click on it. But when he was mentioning single mums, and I'm thinking, youth. Well, I have to, because I can't say it clearly. And I just thought, that's it. I'm up. I'm gone. I'm out. You 2-bit MF. Yada, yada, yada. And then I remember when I got my daughter Crescent just because it's for her, And and then I was saying to the priest, oh no, my sister's married and we were doing the rehearsals, whatever. And then I said to the priest, I said, Father, you'll have a cup of tea, won't you, Father? Said, go on. You'll have a cup of tea, Father, won't you? He didn't even crack, from Father Ted, he didn't even crack a smile.
Oh, Father. Have we a cup of tea?
Well, when Sean, my son, he was just here on the motorbike, that fella, he was doing his confirmation. It's one of my biggest regrets in life, actually, to be quite honest with you. He came to me just before he made the conversation. He said, "Mum, I don't want to do this." He said, "This is all a bunch of hocus pocus." And I made him make his confirmation. I shouldn't have. I was wrong. I completely admit that I was completely wrong. And the second thing is, when I look back in hindsight, when my children, I kept my maiden name, which is Cullen, after I got married. Nothing to do with anything. It was just I will never be Mrs. Hanrahan. That's my mother-in-law. But that's lovely. But I had to actually change my name to Hanrahan because there was a couple of comments made to my children it was a very religious, it was a very prestigious, it was a kind of a, but because they wanted to, a comment was, I was actually asked the question one day, was I married?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I just put down Hanrahan then after that, because my name was obviously, because my children were Hanrahan, and I changed, I stopped using Cullen then, and used Hanrahan at school. Yeah. And then it's Cullen Hanrahan, but I mean, it's Jacqueline. There's about 47 letters in my name then, and I run out of boxes to fill in the name on any form.
Yeah.
I know, right?
And you know what? It just goes to show, doesn't it? So when I had my first child, my grandmother, who was Victorian, right? She was
my God.
Born in the 1800s, she was Victorian. Now, we were brought up Protestant, but my mum's mum always had rosemary beads hanging up, so they must have belonged to her mother.
She might have been Catholic.
She was Catholic, yeah. Okay. So when I had my first child, I went round to my grandmother's. She said, she would come out and she'd run to the gate. She said, "Have you been to church?" "For what?" So for what? I've just run. "Go and see the vicar. You need to get church before you come into my house."
No.
So I went to see my mother, right? And I said, "Come on, we'll go round." She said, "All right then." So I went and seen him. He said, "Just come round." So on the Sunday, so when we went there on the Sunday, he done this blessing on me. And I looked at my mother, and he was literally telling everybody how dirty and everything I was, because I had this baby, right? So when I had my second baby, I went round to my grandmother's again. She come running out. She said, "Have you been to church? To be church?" I went, "Yeah." "Oh, you can come in now then." I haven't.
You didn't. I knew you didn't. Did he? What was the priest saying, that you were dirty?
Yeah, I'm trying to make out that I was dirty and I was sinful because I had this baby out of wedlock. Honest to God, yeah.
There wouldn't have been any making out in Ireland. They would have just told you straight to your face. And that's if they let you keep your baby.
Yeah.
Would they have taken that off?
They did try and get rid of it every week.
That's how mother and baby homes operated.
Oh, yeah, I had to fight to keep my baby.
Yeah, they came into the hospital, or they, well, I have to say, a lot of the girls that were in mother and baby homes, their families probably signed them in.
Yeah.
They were signed in. They could not leave unless a family member claimed them out.
Yeah. And they somewhere not. Ireland is a huge sin.
A lot of those babies were taken away from their mothers at a day old or 2 days old, and they were shipped off to America and I can guarantee you that the church received money for that.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Pictures of Aer Lingus flights attendants standing on the steps of Aer Lingus little planes, and nuns handing over the babies to them to be taken to America.
Wow.
And you know what I'm going to say?
They exist. I've seen
That's
them.
terrible.
Yeah,
that is horrendous.
It was wholesale. It was church and state. Church and state were complicit. There is no two ways about it. The church and the state were complicit. In the redress, the state had to pay a certain amount, and the orders have to pay a certain amount because the state was complicit. Because none of this could have been done without the cruelty man, without it going in front of the courts to terminate parental rights. All of that had to go through the state. So, because there's no question about this. This has all come out in the reports. But the problem is that the records now of those babies have been shot. The state doesn't have them, apparently. They gave them to the religious orders, and apparently the religious orders don't have them because they gave them to some state body that was set up, and nobody has the records. So good luck if you're looking for your biological mother in Ireland and you come from the States or whatever. There, it is virtually impossible.
Wow, that's
it's horrendous. I'm going to say that religion is designed to control women. I mean, I'm going to say that. I'm not feared.
Every religion is misogynistic.
It is. Every religion is designed. I've not came across a religion that's that you shall work in the kitchen and you shall do as men say. And I think it's terrible. I think it's. I'm more like a spiritualist.
And you know what's really galling about all that is, in Ireland we celebrate St. Patrick, who was Welsh. Yeah, right. So he came to Ireland. He killed all our druids.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Bridget, or Saint Bridget, as they like to call her now, like she did convert to Christianity, but she was a pagan. She was a pagan goddess, and they purloined her day. And Bridget now is Saint Bridget. But there is archaeological history, apparently, that Ireland, and not just Ireland, probably Scotland and a lot of the Celtic nations, had a huge, huge female hierarchy.
Yes.
Wow.
I've heard that. Mm.
Yeah. So not only did we lose all that pagan history, which we're trying to piece back together, and there's a lot of the UCC, there's a lot of universities trying to piece back together. We lost all our power.
Well, look what the church did. Look what the church did. So-called witches.
The back of
To women that practice witches. I mean, they weren't doing anything bad. They were just killing you and giving you.
Yeah. Well, Scotland has an horrendous history with witches.
Oh yeah, I'm close to witch trials.
Well, we had two. I think we burned 2 of our witches only.
I think we burned a lot.
We did hundreds. Ireland particularly didn't burn its witches, and it's an anomaly. But I think it probably goes back to the fact that we were probably like the Romans didn't invade us, because not only did they think Ireland was miserable with the weather, but we were ungovernable. Like we still are, but we were savage. There's no two ways about it.
I was like in the film Braveheart. They're all getting ready to fight the English, and all the Irish change sides. They all just run across and join the Scottish.
Yeah. Listen, and may I tell you, the Irish that fought in Scotland, they all fought naked.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Covered with body paint and stuff like that.
We were obviously just absolutely savage. Do you know what I mean?
Strange,
Funnily enough, I was doing, because we're going to Lepp shortly. And as you know, I mean, there's so many reported ghosts in Lepp Castle.
Yeah.
There's tons of them. You've got your choices. But apparently Lepp was built on an old Druid site, and apparently they used to initiate their young there into their Druidic society or whatever. So I think a lot of Ireland was still, even though we became fiercely Catholic, but I think if England and King Henry probably hadn't tried to convert us to Protestantism. If he hadn't tried so hard, we wouldn't be so Catholic. Because
it was the same for Scotland. It was the same for the Scots. I mean, we were
think Ireland is pagan. Yeah. I think Scotland is very much like that. At its heart, it's still very pagan.
Yes. There's just up the road. I mean, round about me, I've got the pagan standing stones that are just 6 miles up the road from me, and it's a big stone circle. And then if you go further north up towards Oban and places like that, you've got all the mounds, and it's all the pagan burial grounds and all the standing stones. But what they've done is it's actually they've built a lot of churches next to them to make it think, that's the day with us, but it's
they're on top of them.
You're built on top of them, because that's what they've done. That's
because
what they've done
just a couple of miles over there, I'm on Lough Derg, and just a mile or two up the lake, up Lough Derg, is Killaloo, which is a very famous, and Brian Boru, chieftain of Ireland, and his palace was Kincora, and his Kincora palace. This is historical. This is not folklore.
I've heard that. Yeah.
On the hill, and now there's a big, huge, fuck off Catholic church built on top of Kincora.
Yeah, that's what they do. They build it on top of
So I think it's probably similar, but I think very much so. I think if Henry hadn't been so adamant after the Jacobite Wars and to insist on us converting, I think we probably, because I'd say we weren't that enamored with Catholicism. I think we were still pagan. It's just the fact that somebody was trying to make us convert now to something else. We were like, no, we're not doing that.
Where I come from, the village I came from, the guy that ran this place, he was called the Black Douglas, right? And he wore the big suit of armour and stuff like that. But he was actually killed in the Holy Wars. He actually fought, no for the Catholic Church. I don't know how it worked, but he got killed over there, and they brought his hat back and his sword back.
Yeah, they used to bring the heart home. Yeah, they brought the heart home.
And the church, if you look at it really closely, because it was built in the 12th century, right, even before the castle was, it's got the Knights Templars crest.
Yeah,
at the very top.
Yeah.
And my village has got the oldest Masonic lodge in Scotland, in England. It was one of the first. And of course, because that's another thing that the Catholic Church did. They killed the Knights Templars. They went after the Knights Templars because they were too damn powerful. Because they became so wealthy and rich, and they took all the stuff.
It's nothing got to do with God. It has got to do with power and money.
That's right.
That is all it's about. At the end of the day, any religion, it's about power and money. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's about power.
Can you hear you, Jenny? Can you hear you? Can you hear you?
Oh, that means my microphone is working now. Jesus Lord. I have a show on the 4th of April of the Masons and the Knights Templar from a fantastic woman here in Ireland. And it's going to be a show. It's going to be a show.
She's got to come on with a suit on.
Well, there was Templars in Wicklow. The Templar Church in Wicklow. They didn't get very far. It's mostly on the east coast over by Dublin and Wicklow and Wexford, right. Because they didn't get any further because there was nobody going into Wild Mayo or Sligo or anywhere like that. It was being
West Ireland, yeah.
We like
I'm next to all the famous places where the Templars used to be. So only 30 miles up the road from me, I've got Rosslyn Chapel. Everybody knows Rosslyn Chapel with the Knights Templars.
Are you not far from? I was going to get the number 37 bus from Edinburgh out there to the Rosslyn Chapel, but I just didn't get time. I am going to go. I am mad.
It's amazing. Jenny needs to come.
I want to see that. Absolutely do.
Yeah, well, I'm a fan of the arts and crafts movement, and that's where William Morris and all those got those ideas from for the furniture and the wallpaper and the whole lot. So aesthetically, I'd be interested in. But apart from that, but funny now you mentioned the Templars. I was doing a bit of research for LEP, Jenny, for the 28th, and good old Mildred.
What did Mildred do?
What did Mildred do? Well, Mildred used to submitted her, and she's responsible probably for the reputation that LEP has of being haunted. Yeah. And she submitted her story to the Occult Review, which was the periodical of the time. I think it was published from 1903 or 4, 6, early 1900s anyway, to 1956. And it was edited by Ralph Shirley, who all occult. The guy, that Rider Waite deck, they were all members. They all submitted W.B. Yeats, Oscar Wilde, anybody who was anybody of the day, Morgan, all submitted articles to this Occult Review. It would have been the periodical. So she obviously took that periodical and she submitted her article to it in December 1908. I think her article is in it. I was looking up some of there's pages and pages it's to go through, but I think she submitted that article about it, about LEP in 1908, and December, the monthly one was December. But all the people that would have been submitting articles with Mildred, and she must have taken that, and everybody took it, they would have been contributors like Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
and the Rider Way, all those would have submitted, and he would have been the founder of that, you know, the Golden Dawn, the Order of the Golden Dawn, which was W.B. Yeats was a member of. And all those contemporaries would have been contemporary with Mildred, and all those periodicals go through all of the occult practices of the time. So spiritualism, all the types of religions, mirror scrying, tarot reading, all the practices, seances, all those things. So I'm sure Mildred would have tried out all of those.
All of them.
But actually, did you know that they're actually?
But they came from the Templars. He came from the Masons. He was a Freemason.
Yeah,
originally.
A lot of my family members were Masons.
Were they?
Wow. And when I was young, when I turned 18, they wanted me to join their little cause, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to do it. I mean, look, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this to now. But see, up at Loch Ness, where Aleister Crowley's house was,
yes,
they're actually rebuilding this house because it actually bumped to the ground.
Did it?
Actually, yeah, mysteriously. And there's actually there's a secret organisation. I think it's the same one that's still running to this day.
No, it is still in operation. I checked that. There is a sect of it still in operation.
Yes.
But I think Mildred would have been contemporary with all of these. And I'm going to attend a lecture given by the National Library of Ireland. That's the library where, you know, like the Trinity Library with all the big, you know, that you see those pictures. And they are doing a lecture of W.B. Yeats and the occult. So I'm going to that on the 21st. So I should have all that information for the 28th, which is the LEP investigation. So I'm just curious, like, I just think if you go through all those articles in the Occult Review, and it speaks all about those divination methods and trying, like, crystal gazing and divining rods.
The mirror scrying's great, good. The mirror
scrying, seances, all those things. She carried, like, she would have been getting her information from this. Because, and there is a particular quote from Mildred about when somebody asked her about the thing that she saw on the balcony. And she said, I am reliably informed by my friends who are much more knowledgeable in the occult than I am. And they reliably have informed me that this is an elemental.
Yes.
So she would obviously have been taking this magazine called the Occult Review. And I'd say anybody was anybody, because the rise of spiritualism was a big thing in those in the early 1900s. So all of the experiments that she would have done in LEP are all of the experiments that would have been listed in the Occult Review, I am sure.
Why don't you try some of these? See, is it the 28th you're going? I wish I could have been there. I'll get something on that.
Chris, just watch. Myself and Jacqueline were talking the other night on the call. Now, what we would normally do is we'd have a video call. We would go over plans of what we're going to do. 8 hours later. 8.
I remember that night because I was visiting you. And you were getting me. Aye, that's right.
Listen, I took a screenshot of it and I sent it over to Jacqueline and I said, Jacqueline, look, 8 hours late. 5 o'clock in the evening, I think I rang you 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. It was that time we were 8 hours later. But
we were busy.
Well, we got a lot done. Now, what we're doing, what the heading is, what did Mildred Darby do?
What did Mildred do?
So we have a plan. Now, we are going to go live for 1 hour on the night. We do have people coming that has never been to Lep Castle before. So we want to show them, you know, an investigation and so on and so on. But there is one particular part that we will not be going live on, but it will be filmed and it will go up eventually. But the heading is, what did Mildred Darby do?
What the hell did Mildred do?
Exactly.
But Sure, I am going to give it a good try as to work out what the bloody hell Mildred did. So we might look. This could all. It might amount to nothing, but if you are of the mind that paranormal investigations and trigger objects and all that line of thinking, surely the person who lived there, it would be familiar to whomever she thought she contacted there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and like, who knows? Nobody knows. But I'm sure it's certainly worth a try.
That's why we experiment and put our heads together and experiment. And what did Mildred Darby do?
Yeah.
We're going to find
That's
out.
interesting. That. That's
What
interesting because I'm sitting here. I'm just shuffling cards. I'm shuffling cards, and I keep drawing the Page of Swords, and I've drew it 6 times. I've shuffled it and drew this Page of Swords 6 times. And you know what I keep getting? I keep getting truthful and speaking out. That's what I keep getting.
Wow. Okay. Because I know, like, I've been doing Lep Castle for about 6, coming up to 7 years. I've done a lot of, like, the TV I did was Lep Castle. There's future plans coming up in the next few weeks of Lep Castle again that I'll be doing. There's like what Jacqueline said earlier on that that there's pick a spirit in
there's a lot to choose from.
To choose from. 6 years in Lep Castle. It is what it is, what they say it is. There's everything there. I've been experiencing it for many years. There's a lot of progress coming up when it comes to that place, and it is probably one of my favorite places to investigate. And it is what people say. Now, some people would go and say, "Oh, I got nothing, or there's nothing there." Well, maybe it's you and not them, because trust and believe. When we run Emerald Isle, it comes with integrity. Our name, everything goes with it. So we wouldn't say there's something there. There's something that's there in Lep Castle when it wasn't really. We wouldn't do that. It is exactly what it says. Yeah. Castle is 110%.
I'm fascinated with that castle. I love the history. I mean, I like the the fact of the elemental. See, I think the elemental. I think obviously what you were saying, Jacqueline, about what was there before that. It makes you wonder if it's a druids. I'm wondering if that was like a guardian spirit for them.
Well,
a guardian.
I'm just looking here. Elemental. Yeah. So the Paraclesius in the Renaissance times, classed. That's the first kind of historical reference we can come to it in elemental. You can tell I've been doing research.
Jackie's the historian. I just show up and be pretty.
Yes, Jenny's the
what he thought. What he described in elemental was lacking a soul.
Yes, but
okay.
Saying that elementals, I mean, I ken people that worship elementals. I know people in particular. I know I'm not going to say their names. I'm really good friends with them, and they've got many different names. They're not just called elementals. They've got other names, and they're ancient. They were here before the earth existed. They were here before anything existed.
Well, there is a lot of historical, like in every culture.
Yeah.
There is some kind of a being. Like we have the Far Durka in Irish, which is the dark man. You know, there is like, and I'm sure you have the equivalent in Scotland. There's the equivalent in China. There's the equivalent.
If you could do the Road of the Voodoo, you've got the Loa. You've got the Loa, the ancient beings that existed. I mean, I think it's. I don't think the elemental in that castle's bad. I don't think it is. I just think it's there for a reason. I think it's there to protect something. And because let's face it, has it ever done any really harm? Has it ever?
Drive safely.
Oh, be safe, Ian.
Drive safely. The elemental now. I know there was somebody had shown me a picture before from the balcony of Lep Castle, and I have to say it did kind of make me go, oh, "What the fuck."
Well, the druid. Sorry, Jenny, go on, yeah.
No. It was just like kind of like I haven't. Yeah. It got my attention. Attention, and I know in that room is where the elemental was. Well, the picture was taken, and I know I know that room to be probably one of the rooms that I personally will not stay in by myself.
Yeah.
And if another female wanted to stay in it, I'd be asking, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" But then there'd be radios and live camera watching them and so on, and someone like 2 steps outside the door to go in, because I don't like the room. The room is no.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere
Big
in
time.
Leap Castle that's negative towards men?
No. More
That's
women.
weird, that. That's interesting.
The druid thing, I'm just, because I came across something tonight and wrote it down, and I was just looking for it there for you, Chris. It was apparently, before LEP was built, it was apparently used for druid initiations. So the phrase is that I came across, they took innocent and made them their own since the time before man mastered copper.
That's a long time ago.
So it was used for initiation for the young into the druidic hierarchy or whatever. So whatever dark or like, and there is like one of the bog bodies that is in that was found in one of the bogs in Ireland is in the National Museum of Dublin, and it has been investigated, and there is one of them that was found in a bog, dug up out of a bog, and according to how he died when they did the post-mortem on it, he was a ritual sacrifice.
Oh, wow.
So that is scientific, like that's done by universities, that's done by archaeologists, it's done by but they think from the markings on him and the way he died, he was thrown into the bog, but he'd been used as a ritual sacrifice. So I don't know what dark practices they did, but they obviously were doing them since the time before man mastered copper. So I don't know.
Well, that's going back thousands of years. Yeah.
It's purported to be built on initiation, a druidic initiation site.
Is there any druid standing stones nearby?
There is. If you look at Ireland, now it's not as well mapped as the UK when it comes to where the sacred sites are. But if you look at Ireland from the air, there is a run from Mayo right across the country, and it takes in the Hill of Ishnock. It takes in the Kyla Cave of the Cats. It runs the whole way across at obviously Tara, Newgrange, all part of it. And very too far from me, there is a huge stone circle in Lochgur, near Lochgur, which is a very sacred site where all the hill forts are and all that. And they run the whole width of the country in a kind of a design and pattern. But I have been to Lochgur. It's a beautiful stone circle. Now, it's not like Stonehenge where you have the capping stones. Yeah. It's literally a stone. But there are some huge... I'll go there in the next few weeks and I'll take a few photographs for you. It's got huge stones, entrance stones. But there's one... And it's actually being investigated by UCC. There's a professor in UCC doing a research on this, and they found the part where the post was put in to do the circle, and they've x-rayed the whole of the ground and whatever, but there is one stone there that they reckon has an energy. And this is a professor now from UCC, this lady, and she maintains if you stand with your feet apart and your hands on right up against the stone, she can feel the energy in that stone.
There's a place near me, and I know where it is because I've been there a few times. It's really tricky to get to it. It's really tricky to get to it because of the marsh that's round about it. And at this time of year, you just can't get there because it's awfully marshy. But see, when you're standing in the centre, you feel weird. And I'm going to say that now, you feel weird. See how you did that experiment with the phones? With the two phones. I would love to see what would happen if you had to stand in the middle of a stone circle, say in Scotland, turn the phone on, sit it down, and then get a phone and put it in Leap Castle and turn it on. and see what would happen.
We'll do it in Locker.
What are the stones? What are the stones made from?
They're from the area. But we have a lot, like Scotland has, of there's a very famous one in the Burren called Pool na Brone, and it's a portal tomb.
Yeah,
and we have a lot of portal tombs here, and I have done kind of little tiny bits of kind of investigation near the portal tombs. There's wedge tombs and portal tombs, and I'll tell you, the energy is very different. Have you been to Newgrange, Jenny? I've been to Newgrange. I don't know.
Newgrange is 12 minutes away from me. Of course, I've been.
When you go to Newgrange, I get claustrophobic, a little bit claustrophobic. So I always like to be the last person. I had to do in the South Bank, South Bridge Vaults last week in Edinburgh. Yeah. I like to be the last person. And luckily, the lady that was running it was kind of a pagan witch. She accommodated me very well. So but I went into Newgrange and I went in last, and the tour guide was actually excellent. Their guides there are really, really good. And we went in, but when you go in there, it kind of goes like this. This is the one where they do the winter solstice from that it shines through the little tiny, it's like this, and it hits and it illuminates the whole of the inside. But it kind of goes like this, and there's a little bit of a turn, so you cannot get the light from outside. It was the way it was built.
Okay.
And you go in, and it is like when you go in, like there's no door there, it's just a passageway, not very long. But you can't see the light because of the way they have it built for a slight turn. But when you go in, it is like the energy just goes, ah. Yeah. I said it to the girl. I actually remarked to the girl. I said, this is one of the most, and I'm claustrophobic. This is one of the most peaceful places I have ever been. And she said to me, I cannot tell you the amount of people that come in there and say that.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? We've got one.
It's very strange energy.
It's called Bryn Cethy. That's a Druid burial ground. Mm-hmm. And it's the same feeling I get when I go in there that you just described.
Yeah, it's a very distinct feeling. Yeah. And it's very hard to explain, but when we were in there was a girl in there, she was heavily pregnant, a younger girl. Well, she was young to me. I'm sure she was in her late 20s or early 30s. And she was heavily pregnant. And inside there, now it's not from there, but it is from sites around. There was an ancient birthing bowl. So it's like a stone bath.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Obviously, we were in there and we were having the chats and whatever. And there was a couple of Americans in there. They liked the chats. And I think she was from England, actually. I think she was English. And I kind of looked at her and she looked really tired. And I said, are you all right? And there was a woman that was leading, that was the tour guide. And there was no place to sit down in there. And she wasn't great doing, and she was standing a while, and the tour guide kind of copped that and we were looking, and she said, do you know what? She said, sit into that boat. She said, sit down there. And one said, do you know? And she said, no, it's all right. She said, I'm allowing you to do and whatever. But I was just thinking, I was fascinated by the fact that it was an ancient birthing bowl, stone carved ancient birthing bowl, and it must have been the first pregnant woman that had been in it for. Could be 1,000
years, yeah.
You know, and I just found that interesting that those practices and all those female practices, like they were the ones that you burnt in Scotland as your witches.
I know.
We have only burnt 2. We only burnt 2 of our witches in this country.
I mean, there was a lot of witch trials around where my area was. I don't really know that much about the witch trials in Scotland. I do know a lot about up north, up the Oban. There's some standing stones up there with the kind of like pagan burial grounds is, and it's weird. And I'm going to say that now. They'll be in a field, but they'll not be like a stone circle. But they'll just be randomly stones. See, when you walk up to them, it's as if you're walking through an invisible barrier. The energy just changes. When you touch it feels weird.
Yeah, I don't know if it's psychological. I don't know anything, but I have to say I never felt that peacefulness until I went into Newgrange. And Newgrange is, as we know, older than the pyramids. You know, I mean, it's a Stonehenge by a couple of thousand years. Newgrange aligns with the winter solstice. The stone circle in Lochgar aligns with the summer solstice.
Yeah.
And whoever owns the land beside the Lochgar circle, if you look over in the bushes, they actually accommodate. There must be a pagan or witch sect out there, because there's a little altars and stuff in the field next to it. So whoever the farmer is that owns that field is allowing them to practice their solstice.
Wow.
This is the place I went to up at Oban, and it's called Cramuln Glen. And it's it's got burial grounds next to it. Here we go. And I'll just show you a picture of that, and that's what it looks like.
Yeah, similar, but yours would have been smaller and larger stones.
Oh,
yeah.
Do you know what they're very like, Chris, is the ones in Brittany at Carnac?
Yes.
Yeah, they're very similar. Yeah.
It's like, I went to Pendle. I went to Pendle last
did you?
September.
Interesting.
It was very interesting. I've always wanted to do it. It's on my bucket list. I've done it. I'm going again soon.
Yeah, I'd like to actually go to
St. Mary's Church. And it was beautiful. And up on the wall, it said the 10 Commandments, and it says, do not disrespect your neighbours. I thought, well, yeah. They disrespected all the words. They threw them in there.
Well, that's that's organised religion in a nutshell there, Lynn. Do not disrespect them, but dismember and burn and torture them and their husbands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They only kept you going for decades and decades, because they never had doctors, and they're the only people that you could go to make you better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
And they shoot you a big stick at you.
You have a stroke on the hill.
So most of them were herbalists. Yeah, most of them were herbalists.
Yeah.
My grandmother was a herbalist.
I'm hoping to get to see this. These are called the Hadrian Islands. The standing stones of I can't pronounce it right, but that's meant to be beautiful. I kind of few that have been there.
Yeah, I haven't been there. It's similar, but the one that's in Lochgar, actually, it is so like you actually have to go down into it. I'll take some photographs. I'll go out there and I'll take some photographs. But Lochgar is very close to it, which is another ancient site for forts. And when you actually go there, you can see it. You can see the forts.
I know the name Lochgar, and I have no idea why.
It's exactly like Lochgar. I live right. You know, Jenny, you've been here. There is a different energy next to those locks. They're old and ancient. There is a completely different. If you go in the evening, similar. But if you stand out beside there at certain times, especially at dusk, there is a very different energy. You've been here, Jenny. You know what it's like.
You went out walking about 12 o'clock at night, and it's just.
I live in a private road, so
it's the middle of nowhere, and it's so peaceful, and beside that lock, it's just like, oh my God,
Lochgar is huge, and a very strange, and there's a lot of strange stories about it. Just a mile up the lake here, not even a mile. There was an island
by Jenny
called with a little stone church called St. Louis. St. Louis.
Thank you for blessing.
And I'm built where they built a weir to. It was the for the electrification of the Free State. So it was in the 1920s after the Civil War. Ireland was broke, but the leaders at that time were very innovative, and they conned Siemens Schumacher between the World War I and World War II into building this massive dam right beside me. I'll take Jenny has photographs of it.
I've been there.
Control the water going into the hydroelectric plant further downriver in Limerick City called Ardna Prussia.
It looks German, even though
it is German, but
it looks German. It just looks German.
The Irish government never paid them. Never paid them.
I looked at you and I said to you, "Holy crap! This looks."
Yeah. It was Siemens Schumacher, and they never paid them because we were broke. But Siemens Schumacher, on the back of that contract that they built here, they got the contract to build the Hoover Dam, and they made their money on that.
Wow!
So, but in the they had to flood part of the lake to make it bigger, for it to control the water going in, to control the. So there was an old from the little stone oratory was built there in 400 BC. No, AD. Sorry, 400 AD, and it was by the monks, and it was called Saint Louis. And that island was flooded, but before it was flooded, they took the oratory apart stone by stone and put it on barges and sailed it up to Killaloe, and they rebuilt it on the grounds of the Catholic Church in Killaloe. It's still there. I've taken photographs. I sent them to Jenny. You can see them. But and just a bit in the middle of the lake, just a few miles up, is Holy Island. And it's all from like 200 BC, like they're all from the first 1,000 years of Ireland. So it would be like the advent of Christianity in Ireland after the paganism, and so they would still have been dealing with it. But there are loads of, like, there is a huge project done with UCD doing factual history and history from local people. And there were reports where St. Louis was, and that there's strange lights seen out there.
Yeah.
There are reports of strange noises. There's it's a very old and ancient lake. But also I took a trip up now. I'd have to find it again. But there is this small, tiny, my daughter has the photographs. I must get them off of her. This tiny burial site up further up the lake. And it has got these tiny, they're only about this height. It's not religious. It's not a religious burial ground. It is an old and ancient burial ground. It is the freakiest place. It's tiny. It is the freakiest place I have ever been.
Is this a place?
Yeah. This is the place I'm telling you about.
Can I just say I've got to go now, everybody?
Oh no!
Don't worry, we'll still be here at 7:30 in the morning.
It's been absolutely amazing. I've enjoyed listening to everybody, honestly.
Oh, Lynn,
I'll try not to be so boring the next time.
You're not boring.
I have to listen to that.
I've got to get up at 5 o'clock.
Jenny has to listen to this every day.
That's just what I said. I have to listen to that all the fucking time.
I think this is great. I'm enjoying this history. I think this is absolutely fascinating. I could listen to Jacqueline all night.
I do.
This is how we end up having 8-hour phone calls.
See, I'm glad I found somebody to listen to who's as interested in stuff like that as I am. I thought I was the only one.
No, I love it.
You and Jacqueline.
I'll be going to my bed soon, too. Anyway, I'm off here for the day.
I listen to Jacqueline and I understand what she's saying to me and so on, but my God, this is why she is the historian, and I just turn up and go, Jenny's doing investigation, and then Jacqueline's the one who did all the history, and I'm just standing back, and they were like, so.
Well, I just hate going to a place like when we went to Cove. I am not going to a place and going to repeat myself. Is there anybody there who'd like to? Can you light up those lights? Can you say this?
It goes so like
time after time after time after time. I want to ask specific information.
Yeah.
Like when you were doing the Estes method, Jenny, I would never have copped when you said fresh sheets, only for I knew the history of the whole sheet business in there.
Yeah. And then when you said to me what the question was, and what you were asking, because obviously I hear nothing.
She didn't hear anything.
It was perfect. It was, you couldn't have gotten any more than that.
Yeah.
It was just brilliant. That was just like.
You watched it back. I haven't seen it back, but I remember it happening on the night. But I do know in my heart and my soul, after I made the comments about the sheets being on the head after the bedwetting, it got very aggressive in there.
I'm going, folks.
Right, Linda.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for coming on, Lynn. I loved it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night. Sleep well.
See, there's, it's in my village, well, it's not actually in my village, but it's outside the village.
Right.
Have you ever, I don't know if you've got them in Ireland or no, but they're called suicide graves. They used to put the people that committed suicide, they're not buried in the graveyards. They're actually buried in unmarked graves.
There are some of those in Ireland, very few, and most of the time we burn but we buried them at the left side of the graveyard. And I kid you not, Chris, when I was in school, in primary school, in very junior infants, like very young, we were told that, now this is how you can take this whether you like it, but the Protestants blessed themselves with their left hand because the left hand was the devil's hand. And my brother was ambidextrous and he was forced to write with his right hand.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because the left-hand side is the devil's side.
Yes,
and
mad.
Suicide burials are on the left-hand side of the graveyards historically.
They'll tie your left hand behind your back, so you have to write with your right hand. Yeah.
But anything to do with the left was evil.
Right.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
That's why you use the right hand.
I've heard that.
It comes from the left-hand side.
There's somebody in my family, and they were Catholic, and they were extreme Catholics. I mean, they went to church like 3 times a day.
Oh God,
it was my cousin was married to this person, right? And then he became Catholic too. And when he was dying of cancer, he became Catholic so as he would get looked after by the nuns and the hospital place. The place.
Also, we forgive the sins. You get the last right. And if you receive your last rites, all your deeds are, no matter how horrendous, no matter how horrible, no matter what you did, it will be forgiven.
That's
a rubbish. I mean, it's the same with the mafia in America. They're all that, they murder somebody and they go and say Hail Mary, full of grace or something like that. That's the end of life. You know what I mean?
When you actually think about it, it's like they say paranormal. Like I was looking into about paranormal investigating tonight, as I always. And there was the whole thing of the conversion theory and Albert Einstein's conversion theory about energy is not created, it never dies, and our universe is a closed thing. So that means that all the energy that's in our universe has to have been there from creation of our universe. Yes. And they're saying that thermodynamics, that ghosts can't exist because if ghosts or spirits existed, that by their very nature, they would be using their energy, so they would dissipate. So therefore, it goes against the laws of nature and all that kind of thing. But I mean, you can think about all that, and then you can think about, well, maybe they do because they take their energy from something else, and that's why a lot of people get headaches or feel watch or whatever.
Yes,
put all those forward, all those theories, and people can say, "Oh, that's not scientific. That's rubbish. Oh, you believe in you're listening. That's a load of crap. You're mad. You're mad. It's all mental illness. It's all pareidolia. It's all fucking sleep paralysis." You can say, but if you actually think about it, and you think about the premise that not only the Catholic but most religions are based on, that is far weirder. And far stranger and far more unbelievable.
I mean, ever since I got into the mediumship, and I'm slowly getting trained with a couple of medium friends, and I'm going to say this now. I've started getting visitations in the night with people that have passed away on my side of the family, and it's actually quite interesting because they tell you quite interesting things, but they'll not go too far into things. They'll not tell you like certain. I've asked them hundreds of questions. But they'll no answer your life or death questions. They'll just sit and look at you, and then they don't talk to you for ages if you ask them stuff like that. It's interesting. It is interesting because it's obviously they're getting the energy for you and me, and they're draining the phones and they're draining the batteries to get the electricity. To power themselves. I've noticed when my guide's about. Especially when my guide's about, my phone doesn't seem to last very long. And that's the weirdest thing, right? It drains really quick. It's plugged in the new, right? See if it wasn't plugged in the new. It'd be dry as anything. Really quickly.
That for me would be get a new battery.
No, it's quite a new phone. I know. But have you ever noticed that when you've been doing an investigation, your battery's dry, and you're like, "Well, what the hell's going on here?" So I'll change the batteries. You'll put your new batteries in. And then about half an hour later, it'll be drained again. And you'll be like, wait, they knew they're Duracells and I've just put them in.
I have to say that only ever happened to me once with my phone, and that was in Duckett's Grove. And that never happened to me once. It was up at 98%. And when I came out of Duckett's Grove, we were doing a little bit of a tinkle around inside there. When we came out, it was down at 13%. I wasn't using my phone. So I don't know. That's the only time that's ever happened to me. But I'm just wondering about that mediumship. When you say you're training, they're talking about like opening your third eye and all that kind of thing. I don't know.
Going to sit in a quiet place.
I often think about that mediumship and all that. Jenny knows this. My husband had brain surgery.
Yeah.
And there's lots of it's open brain surgery, 11 centimeters of his brain taken away. But there is there's two cases that I know of absolutely. One had similar brain surgery to Mike and woke up and was a concert pianist, had never played the piano before.
Yes.
And the other one about the chap that thinks his wife's head is a hat and keeps trying to take off her head. But
I've got a book over there that I'm reading the new. I've got a book over there.
Thankfully, none of that happened to my husband. But we had a brain injury, so there was a distinct change in his personality prior to the surgery.
Yes.
Then he had the surgery, and then post-surgery, very strange. Well, there was a change in his personality again, and more back to his own old personality previous to the brain injury, but still differences. But the funny thing is, he couldn't, this is a man who consumes an inordinate amount of mindless violence movies. Crap that I don't watch, but he just loves them, killed them all. But he could not watch anything violent after his surgery on television. And if something came on that was sad, now this is a man's man we're talking about, and I know that's a horrible term, but somebody who isn't like this, if something came on that was kind of emotional on the television, it upset him. He used to cry. Now that's all changed again, but I'm just wondering, when they took away the 11 centimeters of the brain, did they take the neurological pathways that he had built up over years? And if that's true, can your brain make those neurological connections? It's making new neurological connections every day anyway. Yeah. But when you do mediumship or you start paranormal investigation or any of that, trying to communicate, does it open up new neural pathways? And is that how people become mediums, how people become able to connect with another energy?
I'm going to say this right. I'm going to say this to do right. It's this. We don't use all our brains. So obviously, when we don't, there's parts of our brains that
very little.
And if we actually used those parts of the brains, we'd be superhuman. We'd be superhuman if we could. I'm reading a really interesting book. The new. Let me get it. 2 secs. I'm really interested. This is the one that was going to give you, Jenny. Just give us a sec.
I completely forget what I was going to say, and I just joked out when I said some people none at all, and now I forget what.
Don't name any names now, Jenny.
Oh, I will.
Jesus.
I've
got a trapped nerve in my disc. I've got a trapped disc and nerve in my disc. I'm reading this the new, and it's called Proof of Heaven, and it's with a neurologist's journey into the afterlife, and it's with that famous doctor. He taken some type of what was it again? What's that disease that you get and it can kill you? No, it's not dementia. I would need to read it through again. What's it called? It's an infection that you get. It's an infection that kills you. It goes into your brain. It kills you.
Hydra.
What happened is he got this infection, right? And he went to the hospital and his brain was dead. The machine was keeping him alive. Right. So I'm only halfway through it now, right? Okay. But that's him in the back there. That's the picture of him there. You can actually look it up.
Encephalitis.
Right. So you can look that up. I think that's what it is anyway. And it's a neural, and he was completely dead. To his doctor, he was a doctor, a top doctor, and he was completely brain dead. And all the doctors round about him were like, meningitis, thank you, Nori. Meningitis, and they're like, listen to the family, says, listen, if we turn off the machine, he's got to die. Right? But while he was under and his brain was dead, he was floating. Because this is the story. He says, I could see them all talking about me.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And eventually, when he did come out of this after he experienced heaven and hell and all that kind of stuff, and the angels and stuff, well, didn't he say angels? He just said people that he knew that was dead.
Okay.
He didn't say angels, right? Because I don't really believe in angels, right? That's something that I believe in. I don't really believe in angels, right? And I don't believe in demons really that much either. I do believe that there is an afterlife, but it's complicated. But anyway, he says that he was standing with the doctors. And he was like floating above them, and they were talking away about, he's not had it. And he actually spoke. I watched it on YouTube. He actually says to those doctors after, he says, listen, you two were sitting standing talking about me, and you said such and such, and you said something, and they just went white, and they're like, how did you know that? But when they put him into the CT machine, when they put him into the MRI machine, his brain was dead.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
how...
a very, very strange thing.
There was no energy. There was no energy in his brain. It was as if it was dead, right? So how did he float above them and say that? And it's totally changed his perspective. It's totally, absolutely changed his perspective into life after. Look, I'm going to say this now. There's definitely life after death. There definitely is.
I believe that.
But I don't truly true what it truly is. I don't believe there's a hell. And I don't believe there's a heaven. I just believe there's an afterlife.
Well, that goes back to the whole energy thing. Energy is not created, it's never destroyed. And I say this to Jenny regularly, if we are energy and we are made from stars and all that kind of stuff, right? I hate physics because it hurts my brain. But like, where does our energy go?
It's
all the energy that's in the universe was created when the universe was created, and it's the same amount of energy now as it was in the beginning. When all the people die and all that, where does their energy go? Does it travel on? Does it, you know what I mean? And I think that's an interesting question.
I mean, I've talked to I've got medium friends that are right into this stuff, right? And I've had this conversation late at night, like you used to have, right, about ghosties and castles and stuff like that. And they've says to me that you go back to the source. So it's like a source. It's God, but it's no God. God isn't what you think it is. He's an old man sitting on a throne with a big beard, right? It's no that. That's just a man-made thing. Because think about it, there could be other races out there in the universe that believe there's a blob somewhere with 20 eyeballs.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's religion is
a human concept.
So the light source is everything. The light source, the light, the source itself is connected to every single living being in the entire universe. Right? So imagine that, right? So you die, you go back. I tell you who explains this quite good. There's what's her name? She's passed away now. She was a well-known medium, and she's on YouTube. I can't mind her name. It'll pop into my head in a minute. But you go back to the light source, right? You go through your life review. Right, and that's all the bad and the things you did.
I'm not doing
and
that.
You experience, I'm afraid you're going to have to, because everybody has to do it. So you experience all the good things and all the bad things
every night
people through their eyes and how they felt. And they'll feel it through you, but you'll experience it, right?
Right.
So then after that, you walk into the light, and then the light to you says, right, listen, you can go back if you want, but you will have to come back as somebody else. Right,
no,
so you've got to. Let's listen. You'll remember who you were. So when you walk into that light, you'll remember who you were.
Yeah, but you're going to pass life. Kind of thing.
Think about this. Think about this, right? For instance, Jenny, this might not be your first time here. This might be your 573rd time here. So you'll remember.
So
just listen. You'll remember who you are, right? And then you'll go back to your soul family. That's the people you say you're in about. So you could be a part of my family. I don't know. And then you say, right, I'll be the woman this time. You be my husband this time. And that's how it's meant to be planned out. And then you come back and you do that over and over and over.
Well, I tell you something. Well, I tell you something. You know this because I've said this to you, Jenny. On our numerous phone calls. My daughter was about 2.5. This stopped me dead in my tracks. My daughter was about 2.5 years old, and both my children didn't speak when they were very young. They both walked very young. Sean was only 9 months. He was crawling at 3.5 months or something. But when they spoke well. So their level of conversation was excellent, but they didn't speak until they were about 18, maybe two years of age. But when they spoke as an ordinary person. They didn't do baby talk. They didn't do any of that.
Yes.
And she was 2.5, and she said to me, "Mummy," we were just in the kitchen one day, and she was in this house, it was a different house, and she goes, "Mummy," she said, before I came to ye, she said, I remember, she said, I was so hungry. I was so hungry, and they would give me nothing to eat, and I was so hungry. And she said I was supposed to come up, and she was everybody got their turn, and I was waiting on my turn, and eventually my turn came up, and then I was told no, I couldn't have my turn, and then I got my turn, and then I got G, and I was so happy, right? And do you ever get something that just kind of hits you, and you go, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I was kind of taken aback by it, and I asked my friend Sylvia, who has died since, and she did psychology, and she said to me, ask her again in 3 months' time. She said, because children don't have any memory of those things. She said, and she said they don't. The 2.5-year-olds don't tell a lot. You know what I mean? It's not something a 2.5-year-old will make up. She said that again. So I did. A couple of months later, I asked her, and actually Sylvia was there at the time, and word for word verbatim, she gave me the same thing. But the funny thing about that is I had Sean, and then I had a pregnancy, and I had a miscarriage, and then I had Bethany. So I always wonder about this thing of, I was supposed to get my turn, and then I couldn't have my turn.
You see?
And then eventually I got G, and I was so hungry. So I don't know what that was.
I think that was reincarnation. I think that was her
No,
choosing
I
to come
don't know
back.
what I'm saying it was or anything, but all I can say to you is when she said it to me, it stopped me dead cold.
There was a case in the United States. Now, before I remember that psychic woman I was talking about, her name was Dolores Cannon. Cannon, right? So she's gone now, she's passed on, she's on the other side now, God knows she could be back for all we can. But anyway, there was a case in the United States, and it was a 3-year-old boy. And he was sitting with his dad one day. He says, aeroplane, because he was watching TV.
I remember.
And he says, aeroplane. And he says, oh, that's World War II. He says, yes, aeroplane.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about now when you mentioned World War.
And the wee boy turned to his dad and says, that's a Corsair, Dad. That's a Corsair. And it was a Corsair airplane, the American planes, the wings folded up on top of the, what do you call it, flight deck?
Yes.
The aircraft carrier. And he's like, what's this all about? So he taken him to a museum. With all the airplanes. That little 3-year-old knew everything about that aircraft. Its flight time, its fuel time, its run time. He knew how to start it. He knew how to fold the wings up. He knew absolutely everything about it.
Aye.
How did he know that? Because he must have been a pilot. He must have been a pilot in a previous life.
I don't know, and I'm not saying that that's what happened, what Bethany was talking about. All I'm saying is I can only tell you what she said to me. And I have no particular opinion on that, but I can only tell you what she said to me.
Yeah.
And it gave me a very odd feeling when she did say it to me. I have to say, it stopped me dead cold.
When it comes to the children and what they because they're very open. They haven't been what they say programmed in what they do. When we get older, they say,
2.5-year-old, she wasn't.
You see, that's it. And I remember there was a guy that I was seeing up in Dundalk for about 3 years, and he had his cousin and first cousin, blah 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 blah. I think he was about six at the time, and he was talking about what his granddad loved to eat and whatnot. Now he wasn't around when granddad had passed away. He never met his granddad, but he would say the same things as what granddad used to say. And then my dog went to live with my friend up in Dundalk, and bought a collie, lovely collie, had him since he was 8 weeks of age, and great and all of that. This boy, he wanted to eat this boy. He had no qualms about it. This dog, this beautiful long-haired border collie, a little bit like Jessie. This dog, he was my dog. And
mine's a crabbit bugger, I must admit. My last name was Jessie, she's crabbit.
He was blue, his name is Blue. And great dog, fabulous with everybody, just a great dog, but fucking hated this boy, hated him. And so I was told about it, and me and my ex broke up, and we stayed best friends. His mum was my best friend. I'm wearing her wedding ring. She was like my mom, my best friend, everything. And so we always stay friends, and she was always involved with my children and so on and so on. So I'd go up there for dinner and all that stuff. And I was sitting there one time, and there was if I wasn't there and I didn't see it, I wouldn't have believed it. And the dog was in the conservatory with the other dogs. Oh my God. I was sitting in the kitchen, and you have the conservatory doors. And this dog, my dog, was banging his teeth against the glass. He would spit on the glass. He wanted, and I'm like, Blue, what the fuck, Blue? What are you doing? And everyone's like, don't open that door, don't open that door. And I'm like, Blue. And I went into Blue. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, and I'm looking at the boy, and I'm looking at Blue, and I'm like looking at the boy, even though he's done nothing. Like, what did you do? So he did nothing. Well, we were all in the living room. For whatever happened, the sliding door slid open. Blue made a beeline through a group of people, went into this boy and bit him on his leg, on the back of his thigh. And everyone was going mad. And I'm like, oh, he only broke the skin. Like, it's all right, fuck's sake.
Well, my dog Jessie turns into the alien out of the film Alien.
But when I tell you, that's what border collies are. Border collies.
Yeah.
And
a pizza dog, generally, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're working dogs.
Sheep.
They're working dogs.
Mine likes coos.
Listen. They are working dogs, and this is their gene, and this is their trait. Yeah. Working dog. And so anyway, there was a big commotion over it, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, slap a plaster on it, he'll be grand. Blue, are you okay? How's it? Are you okay? And then when he was leaving, and he said to me, bye, Jenny. And I said, bye, I'll see you in heaven. What?
How nice.
I'm glad he didn't say hell, you know what I'm thinking about. Like
God.
Okay.
Was the film Norman?
And I'm like, okay, lovely. Pick it by the
neck. His name wasn't Damien, was it?
I did check the back of his neck.
Oh my God, my back.
Bruno, good evening. You're watching from Brazil. This is Bruno. This is my friend Bruno. So no, I did check the back of his neck, and there was nothing on it. It was just like plain. But he forgot all about it when he got older. Now, another thing I want to say is, like, where do we go after we pass away? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? And so on. I think there's just a club.
Yeah.
There's just a
big club.
We are energy. We're energy, and if there's no heaven and there's no hell, and it's man-made, and we know this sometimes, and they put the fear of everything into us. I think it's a club, the in gang and the out gang, and it's just kind of like the arsehole gang and the in gang. I think it's just a big playing field of a club, and you have some people standing in the corner that just don't want to, mix in, and you have people who are just get together, all the good people from around the world. I don't know. I just think if there's no heaven and there's no hell, is it just a big club?
It's a big club with lots of free wine.
I'd like either gin or vodka if you can put in an order.
Jenny's she's got a chalice. She's got a chalice.
I actually have a chalice.
Bless you, my child. It's that's why. I mean, I have to say, I was never a believer in, that there has to be a tragedy or something horrific happen in a place, a murder or something like that, for there to be some kind of a haunting. But I have to say that in places that I have been, where I have either known going in or I have researched it afterwards, where there has been in particular a suicide, I always find that you get a better response. And I know that sounds horrifically, but I do think that maybe it's just like, if that's the case and we die, right, maybe hell is only of our own making, that if you feel that you haven't done the right thing, maybe you just have to wait until you think that, well, I've paid enough for that.
Okay. Yeah.
Listen, I might have to go because my back's off sore and I need some painkillers. And 2 hours is now.
And his
Is it
legs,
okay if I leave?
his legs cannot move because
I can't move my legs and my back is really, really sore, guys.
always
You know,
after the
I
show.
think this could be definitely a 3-hour show, but not with me.
What?
That could be a 3-hour show, but not with me here because I'll be like I'll get taken down the stairs by an ambulance crew.
Well,
I'd say people would pay good money to see that, Chris.
I've often said, stand up. I've often said to Chris, stand up and let us see you standing up and walking.
I can't stand up. The thing is, I'm taking cramp in both my legs. That's how bad my back pain is.
Stick a pen in it and see what happens.
No, I've got my medication there that I'll take shortly.
Yes, Aaron, I totally agree with that.
It's like you need to smoke. Actually, it's weird you should say that because I just got a delivery of my favourite candy in just the other day there.
Totally agree with that.
Everybody's candy's good, but gummy bears are.
You know what? I had a procedure done last. What day was it? Was it Friday?
Yeah.
Was it Friday? Yes, it was Friday. Tell you now, they gave me sedation, but I wasn't asleep.
That photo you sent me, you're like.
Best thing I've ever had is gas and air during a delivery.
I love the gas and air.
Amazing.
But the sedation was just like, and I said she wanted, she put the liquid in through my catheter or whatever, and then I said to her, I'm feeling it, and she goes, okay, just go with it. And I'm like, it was kind of like, do you ever see Jim Carrey when he's awake but he's asleep, but there's a fly flying around him? That was like me, but it was great shit. Great stuff.
It's great stuff. I've had it a few times, and it's like a lot.
I know. You liked it.
Right. I'm going to go, guys. But you just keep the show going, and I think you should talk about all the supernatural things in the world.
Listen, I tell you now, if I
don't know if there's enough time for that, Chris.
It's all right. You've got Jenny only needs to be up around about 12 or 1. You've got a good 10 hours left.
I have an appointment in the morning. I have to be
driving to Athlone.
You'll be fine. You'll be driving with like sellotape on your eyes open. Jen will be up.
It wouldn't be the first time.
I know. I have an appointment in the morning.
I'll be crawling down the stairs.
Like, Christine, I've got a head cold. It's driving me insane.
Oh God! I've actually got my
I don't know what's wrong with all these sick people. I'm glad this is remote. That's all I can say.
Well, I'm going to say good night, right? And I'll talk to you later, Jenny. Good night, Jacqueline. Everybody have a fantastic night. Jenny, I'll talk to you after. And listen, honestly, keep talking for another couple of hours. It'll be fine. Good night, everybody.
Night,
Chris. To you after, Jenny.
Night, Chris. We'll see you in a while. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And then there was 2. My eyes look like I have not slept, but I did. But my goodness. Oh my gosh. I'm tired. But what we're going to do is we're going to end the show in about 5 minutes and talk about very quickly on the 28th of March, in about 2 weeks, we are going down to the fantastic, infamous Leap Castle. It is just one of my favorite places to investigate. Myself and Jacqueline got our thinking heads on. We went through a lot of stuff. There's a lot of work going to be done at the night. We have fantastic guests coming with us. And anything you want to say, Jacqueline?
No, I'm just saying, like, you have your choice of reported hauntings there. You have the oubliette with a cartload of bones taken out. You have the Bloody Chapel. You have the Elemental, Mildred, our girl Mildred. The reports of white light streaming from the upper windows. The murder.
I seen that.
The murder of the priest Thaddeus by the brother Pike. The murder of the O'Neill clan, the mercenaries. The murder of the McMahon clan. Yep. You've got you have so many to pick from. You've got the Elemental. You've got Captain Darby, left wandering the halls, looking for his spoils of war, who went mental and still apparently wanders the halls, looking for his buried treasure. There are so many reports of different. That's not to mention the governess and Emily and Charlotte.
I mean, I'm just laughing at a picture. No, it's just a picture that Chris had sent me, and it's just some man and his legs are kind of going backwards. Chris just, he has to stand up and walk about. He cannot sit for 2 hours. He has to stand up and walk about because his legs will. He'll no feel his legs.
Oh, well, look, it's the male. They're the weaker sex. What can you do? But yeah, so hopefully, I mean, I don't know. We have great kind of plans. So we're potentially going to split it into 3.
Yes.
Yes, 3 areas.
Yeah. And
concentrate on whatever has been reported in those specific areas and tailor the investigation to what we think would be best to try and capture some kind of evidence, maybe. Who knows?
Exactly. And from past experience to new experiments that we're going to be doing, from doing the old stuff that I'm used to, and then you into it as well.
So, depending on what part of the castle we're in, but
right.
I mean, who knows? We may get nothing. You don't know. It's like every location. It's like every location. It's like every location. You can only go by whatever the energy is on the night. You may get new stuff. You may get stuff that you've experienced before. I know you've had lots of EVP experience there.
6-7 years of it.
Yeah, but you have EVPs from there. No. I don't particularly have that experience there, but I had one strange occurrence there. With the but it was visual. So I'm curious to know, will I get that again? And that to me happens, like I've been there previously, but the last night I was there, the group I was with were not as focused as you probably should be on an
investigation.
To be honest with you. And I left, I was supposed to stay all night. I didn't. There was a storm on the way. I left at about 2:00 in the morning. But I'm curious to know if I have that same experience again. If I do, it would be confirmation for me of something. But it's not something that I can quantify. It's not something I can prove. It's not something that I could film. It's not something I can record. It's nothing like that. It's not something you could photograph. It just was a very odd, unexplainable.
It was a personal.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing I can do about that, but I am curious to know, considering going with this group, which I think is going to be a very good group.
Yes, with the people that we have coming with us.
Yeah, and the team this time, I think it's much more focused. Yeah, it's much more focused, and I'd be curious to know if we do get anything. But
I have no doubt.
Yeah,
I have no doubt. I have none.
But you're quite happy over there on your side, and I'm quite happy to be sitting up here on this fence, Jenny.
I am happy where I am because I know. And people say, "How do you know?" It's like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I love sitting on my fence, so I'm the doubting Thomas. I like to be shown it. Absolutely.
I'm very confident. I'm very confident. Seen enough, heard enough. I know it. I'm confident with it. I have no doubt. We will go live for about an hour. We won't be going live when we're in the one particular part of the night. We will not be going live for that. We are going to, because when we're live for it, it distracts me of what I'm going to be doing. It distracts me, but we will film it and we will put it up. It depends on how it goes in the night. I could say, do you know what? Let's do it live on me doing what I'm going to do. Listen, we're not going to give too much away until the night. But we will go live for about an hour. When we do what I do and what we do, then we could go live after it again. We do have guests with us. So we do have to look after them as well. But we will go live and we'll give you plenty of notice beforehand. I'll put up a post and a reminder so anyone who wants to watch can watch. And that is it. That is the end of our show. We're on for 2.5 hours. I have to make a lemsip because I feel like shit. And I've been sniffing away all night.
Oh, I'd go with the hot whiskey.
Oh, there's no whiskey. I have no whiskey in the house.
Oh, Jenny, that's such a fatal error.
I know. I'm Irish. I'm ashamed. I'm so ashamed. There's no whiskey. There's lemsip. I'm either going to take a Disprin or paracetamol or lemsip. I can't take all three. I can take one of the three. I think I'll take a paracetamol and then set my alarm for morning time because I have a very important meeting.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
I'll be driving to Athlone in the morning.
What time are you driving at?
Probably, I usually leave around 10ish. So I have to walk the dogs and various things.
I'll let you know. I'll give you a wee text later on and let you know. Lawrence, the parent often missed a show. We're just finishing up now, Lawrence. We're just finishing up now. We're just going through our Lep Castle investigation, what we're going to be doing, and experiments we're going to be doing. Some live, some not, but we will be doing a little bit of a live on the night. That's it. So I'm going to take a paracetamol. My bed is freshly made. I cannot wait to pop into it. We're going to end it here now. Thank you so much, everyone who's watching. I feel like a deaf. You ever get a head cold and you feel like you've gone deaf a wee bit? Thank you, everyone who watched, who commented, who liked, who shared, everything. And for seeing friends that I know for a long time coming in and catching up with people as well. And for Lynn for coming in as well. I was delighted.
Absolutely. It was great. And Chris, it was great to have and now, sorry, it was a bit serious, but
you know what, Lawrence, I don't know if you've seen the beginning of the show, but my goodness, the conversation, it was kind of like an open panel. So there was no kind of set what we're going to be talking about, but Jesus, pardon the pun, it was about religion.
Well, I mean, it was just because we did the investigation in the convent. Sorry, excuse me. And that's where it leads. I mean, you can't investigate a convent without kind of referring to religion, really, and the history of it. You know, what can you do?
Yeah, there was a few F's flying away from Jennifer.
Well, it was just you, Jen.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you so much, my love. What'd you say? Me? Yeah. Well, you know, if you put Jenny and religion in the same conversation, you don't know. I mean, I was very good tonight. I was very good. Oh, thank you. I'm going to get some paracetamol and a hot cup of tea, a nice hot sweet cup of tea, and get into my freshly made bed and get this lot to bed with me. I can only see. Can you see Hurley?
We're going to bed. Listening to me.
When you call her name once and she pops out. She's so funny. Hey, young mama. Oh, you're such a silly girl. Oh my goodness. I have to call her name once and she's awake. Did I wake you up? I'm so sorry.
My two are in bed with my husband. That's where they are.
I love your dogs. Look, she's very hot. Oh, my poor wee girl. Mama's big girl. Love you. Okay, everyone knows I love my dog. Okay, I'm sorry for waking you up. I'm just going to get you all ready for bed. My dogs and my cats are on the other chair. Right, thank you. This is an Irish goodbye again, isn't it? I'm bloody notorious for it.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. We will be back on, let me just check the date here. Let me check the date. What date do we have? Today's what? Today is now Monday because it's 12:05 here. So we have the Saturday the 15th. I think we have a show on
the 28th to the left. But when is your next show?
The 15th is my next show. I have something on the 22nd. For the life of me, I cannot remember because I didn't put it into my diary. But
well, I go to that lecture on the 21st, which is the Friday. I think, is it?
Yes, Friday for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I have a show on the 15th. Now the show is, I couldn't tell you because I haven't arranged it just yet, but I know I will have a show on the 15th of March. I'd always arrange it. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for everything else. We will be back on the 15th of March with what? Who knows with what? Who knows?
Nobody knows.
Who knows when it comes to Jennifer? Who knows? So good night. Sleep well. Sloan and Jacqueline, what's good night? Sloan Gafoyle. What's good night in Irish? Because I can never say it. Jacqueline, what's good night in Irish? Because I can never say it.
Oh God, Jenny! Like it's 30 years since I was at school. Come on.
It's my. O-I-C-H-E. Anyway, listen, that's really embarrassing for Irish people who not know how to
isn't it?
That's goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh no, shit, listen, we're going to stop while we're going because we have no idea. Oh, we have no idea what we're saying in Irish. What's this, Aaron? I'm off to celebrate. We have a new Prime Minister.
Ooh.
We need to find out all about that in a different...
Where is that from? Where's Iron Fire Horse from? Prime Minister? Oh no, Canada, surely.
Yeah. Oh God, my throat is...
Trudeau gone.
That's Chris just sent me. That's me. Just made it to the bottom of the stairs. Operation Wobbly Leg.
Sorry, we don't offer legs in this department. We need our own legs.
I can imagine going down step by step down the stairs, holding each leg as he brings it down.
Jeez, you'd never make it in Lep with the trip stairs. Not a hope. Not a hope. That is the most disorientating thing there.
You know, Redwood Castle, their steps are a lot worse.
Are they?
Oh,
no. I fell downstairs in Lep. Bethany says a ghost pushed me, but that's not true. I fell.
Okay.
And I cut my knee, and I don't think I've cut my knee since I was 12.
Oh, holy shit, really?
Oh, yeah, it's Canada, because I love Trudeau, but we need Mark right now.
Yeah, I'm from Canada.
Yeah, it's Canada, yeah.
Yeah, right, we're gone. Right, let me get into this. Right, Jacqueline, stay in the background, and everyone will talk to you. No, Jacqueline, this will be 10 minutes, not fucking 10 hours.
No, I have to go to bed. I have things to do tomorrow. I have business.
Me too. I don't really want to do it, but I have to do it. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much. Once again, I know people are going to say, Jennifer, shut the fuck up. Go Records. Chris is not here. Chris has just left. He'll be doing readings again tomorrow. So watch out for his TikTok and his YouTube live tomorrow. He's not doing any readings just yet tonight.
Chris was excused on medical grounds.
I tell you, that's what we say. That's nice.
That's lovely.
There are little code words when things go like little tips up. Okay, right. I'll bring in the background. I'll just see you later. Good night. Until next week. Say good night, Jacqueline.
Good night, Jacqueline.